just about concluding the setup process. We are supposed to have started at 9. So, I'm entirely my fault. I'm trying to speak better phrase.
Hello, testing two.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Please, are you done with the online setup? All right. Again, my name is Mohammed Al Hassan Damba. I studied planning in KNUST some time back. I finished in 2002, and I have been practicing with the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority, and also very active with the Ghana Institute of Planning. Once upon a time, I was the president of that institute, and we worked closely with the architects. We still do every day. The topic planning laws and regulations, it's quite a broad one, except that the organizers made my work easy by specifying which of the laws they want me to focus on. The principal legislation on spatial planning, land use planning, town planning, human settlement planning, as you may want to describe it, is Act 925. The full name is Land Use and Spatial Planning Act 2016, Act 925, Land Use and Spatial Planning Act 2016, Act 925. Okay. The brief I was given did not exactly state what they want me to achieve at the close of the day, but what I think we should achieve is that you should be able to learn what you didn't know, appreciate what you knew but didn't fully understand, and then also you walk away hopefully with some knowledge together. Or we're going to have discussions. I would encourage that as I proceed, you can interject once a while so we can have a meaningful discussion. I don't want to run over a whole gamut of things and then you miss some, because some of the conversations are going to be in context. Now, laws on spatial planning, as I said, the basic ones are Act 925, that's the Land Use and Spatial Planning Act. And then most acts come with LIs. We are not in a law class, but when Parliament passes an act, there are usually certain broad provisions that need to be given detailed effect and meaning. And so we usually would prepare another law known as the legislative instrument. So when I say my name is Mohammed in the law, the LI will say, okay, Mohammed comes from this place, he finished, you give more details about me. And so that's what the LI is. But then we also have a number of laws I call secondary laws, which come in and out in the course of our practice. And so depending on what assignment is on your desk and where you are doing the assignment, you may have to consult some other law. So we have the Local Governance Act, which broadly is the law that sets up the district assembly system. It outlines their functions, what their powers are, and what they cannot do. We also have the Lands Act, which is on matters of land management and land administration. So this law sets out the types of interests and rights you can have in land. So we have various levels of interest, such as allodial ownership, which is the highest form of land ownership in Ghana. You have leasehold, freehold, customary tenancies, and other types of ownership types. So this law focuses on that basically, except that at a point, it says, this Land Act says, land allocations cannot be carried out without evidence of an approved plan determining the use to which the parcel of land in question is supposed to be used for. So if you go registering land, we are interested in knowing what you want to use the land for. So the Land Act says that. So to the extent that it talks about some of these things, the special planning people are interested in it. We have the building regulations, which handles matters of structure, structural issues, building codes, and so on and so forth, and also veers into some elements of permitting. The VRA Act, those of you who know the VRA enclaves in Akosombo, these are laws establishing them and giving them some levels of planning powers. And so if before you go to the district assembly, VRA must have, who is the landlord, must have first had a role in granting you this parcel of land and also giving you insight about how they want to use the land before you go to the district assembly system. And the same thing applies to TDC. I think now the name is Tema Development Company Limited, or so, yes, which is like, am I correct? Yes. Which is like a state-owned, to simplify, it's like a state-owned real estate company, kind of, except that their base is in Tema. But let me just go back. You have Volta River Authority Transmission Line Protection. There's this 2-page or so law in our system, which prescribes how spaces along transmission infrastructure should be used, what we call high tension lines. So the prescription as to exactly what you can do, what you can't do, whether you can drive under it, how high your vehicle should be, and so on and so forth, and what reservation should be allowed under this transmission facility are all captured there. And these are all planning matters. So in case you had an assignment which is abutting a transmission facility, then this piece of legislation would also help provide insight into what you should do. So for example, anything about welding or anything that sparks fire or is combustible is not allowed under this transmission facility. There are other soft uses like agric. We see vegetable farming taking place. These are not injurious to the space or the infrastructure, and so they are generally allowed. But we see a lot of fitting shops and all of that. To be frank, they are not supposed to be there because the activities are such that they can cause trouble. We Power Authority, I mean, it's similar to, they are a cousin to VRA, isn't it? Yeah, we also is a power production entity, except that they are a backup entity. That's what they are, like a strategic reserve. So when we have problem, then they fill the gap, usually. Then we have the Environmental Protection Act. It used to be Environmental Protection Agency Act. Just recently, I think just a few weeks ago, before Nanado handed over, he signed into law the Environmental Protection Act, which now creates the Environmental Protection Authority, not Agency Act. And the act is brand new. You can see, if you follow the series of numbering of acts, you'll see, so Act 1124. And then they also have regulations. I mean, in case you didn't know what EPA does, they are in charge of safeguarding our environment. So protection our ecologies, managing matters of pollution, what it has to do with air, sound, the soil, and other ecosystems that are connected to our lives. And they usually would issue permits. But before they issue any permit, they will resort to the planning authorities at the district assembly to be sure that the zoning arrangements are in order before they proceed to issue the environmental permits. And then we have this local government department of assemblies at which creates district department. If you enter in a district assembly, you have general administration, you have works department, fiscal planning department, you have finance, you have agric, education. This law creates and most of what these departments do affect spatial planning. Now, I am throughout this discussion, when I say the act and I don't specify, I'm talking about Act 925. Take note. If I quote section so and so and I don't specify, then I'm referring to a section in Act 925. Where I am talking about another law, I would be specific as to what law I'm talking about. But generally, if I say section these, the act, and so I'm referring to Act 925. So take note. Now, Act 925 took us, I happen to be part of the journey. It took us over 10 years to write this law. It was back and forth. And I'll say something to encourage all of us. We used to have town and country planning department. It used to be powerful because Dr. Nkrumah himself used to chair the board, because that's how he was running the country. Planning was central. So Akosombo didn't fall from heaven. There was deliberate thought. He thought about it. He earmarked the space down. And all the over 400 factories that were built were not built in vacuum. They were built on the basis of meticulous assessment of what natural resources we have and how we should earmark those specific places. If you go around this country, there are large-scale acquisitions for strategic national use. Around Accra, unfortunately, some people do not think, I don't know how to put it. Nkrumah was strategic enough. So they are busy selling the lands here. So if you go to Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, we wanted to make provision for nuclear energy. And nuclear energy is a very volatile. And so he acquired a huge space for such operations, huge lands for farming and cattle rearing behind Trasaco, and shooting range for policemen, land for rabbit rearing, and a whole lot of interesting things around the country. I'm just mentioning a few around Accra. And so I'm just telling a story. I haven't come to this. Then, so town planning was running. When I finished school, I joined, and it wasn't quite robust, and it wasn't doing its well. So a student from Denmark came by to collect data for her thesis, her master's thesis. Her name was Karen Waldrop. And then when she collected her data, I went back and discussed with her supervisor. The supervisor was intrigued. He was surprised that such an important institution was in the state. Its law was just too old. The law wasn't connecting with current affairs of land management and town planning. Our systems for plan preparation was very antiquated, huge drawing boards, no digital systems, no GIS. The staff were ill-trained and so on and so forth. So her recommendations were carried forward between her and her supervisor. And then they went to the Nordic Development Fund, which is a funding agency for international development in their country. And then the funding agency got interested in her recommendations. I usually want to pay tribute to her. I don't think she's here to hear. She may not be here, but these are little things people do, and then they change lives in the world. So this lady changed our life, leading to the writing of all these laws. So they came with 7 million euros. We did a lot of things, writing law, migrating from manual to digital systems, and so on and so forth. And then we decided to rethink how we should handle our old law, which was passed in 1945. And then eventually in 2016, we had this law. So that's the short story, which I think is important to tell because I never know where you'll be doing research or doing any assignment. And depending on the way you handle it, it may change lives somewhere else. For me, I mean, if a simple master's thesis can transform a country called Ghana by way of its spatial planning system, and which is a subject matter for discussion in a class session today, it means she's still touching lives, isn't it? All right. So this Act 925, actually it's a law that was revised and consolidated. So it's not like it's a brand new law written. We revised the old laws. Consolidation means we put them together. And these laws were on land use and spatial planning. And what did we want to achieve? We wanted to provide for sustainable development of land and human settlements. We wanted to ensure judicious use of land, wise use of land. We wanted to promote health and safety because if we handle spatial planning well, matters of public health somehow get sorted. Ventilation and environmental sanitation to a large extent sometimes gets fixed. We wanted to also regulate the way planning is done at the national, regional, and district levels. And we generally wanted to provide for other matters. Before this law, planning was very focused on subdivision of parcels of land. You just see a piece of paper with parcels of land subdivided with street grids, and then that's all we knew to be plans. But now, under this law, planning begins from the highest strategic level and descends down to a smaller space like in this room. So last week, I was driving during the weekend and I got a call from the majority leader. Hey, what's going on? Because I don't do politics. Then he says, oh, they are front plains. You know, it has huge agri-potential. I says, yeah, we want to see how you can assist us put a plan together. I was excited because usually we see agriculturists go and till land, put some seed, and go and harvest, isn't it? Yeah, but agri these days is more than that. We have to have, it's mechanized, so you have to have, zoning for mechanization. Session, you have to have different crop types, and they are depending on the soil suitability. You have to provide the blocks, isn't it? I hear NDC saying they will prepare the land and give it to people to farm in their manifesto. How can you do that without a plan? It will just be haphazard. You also have agritourism these days. There are people who don't know how the food they eat is produced, frankly. So they want to go around and see how yam, there are people who think yam is harvested from the tree. Oh, I'm serious. They haven't seen a yam mound. They haven't seen anything. Maybe cassava is quite popular. Sugarcane, maybe. Not too many people also know that. So people would go around these farms, see things, and then they end up with cocktail of drinks here, a bar here, just processing the same produce. And then when you enter an agri-enclave, you have to come out with an experience, not just going to view, you know. So you viewed, you heard, and then you tasted, maybe smelled something. So that's how a plan should provide direction for. And so I will continue by saying that in this law, we are discussing today. The law says wherever there is any conflict between any other law and this law on matter of land use and special planning, this law prevails. So you may read something here, read something in another law, and it looks like they are saying something slightly different on the same subject matter. So the law says it will prevail. So it has crowned itself. And I think it's a legal principle generally that a subject matter law is always superior to any other law. So if you can have a law on architecture and then you have a law on land use planning, and then we are contradicting a pure issue of architecture, and you would want to uphold this and leave the principal act on architecture. I don't think it will be reasonable. So it's the same thing here. So take note. In carrying out spatial planning under Section 45, this is where the law says we should go about doing the planning. So we have the landmass. That's what we are all used to. 16 regions, forests, northern zone, middle belt, forest. I mean, you just go about planning human settlement. That's the landmass. But the law says airspace, because Ghana is entitled to an airspace, isn't it? That's why when it becomes critical, we can prevent people from using our airspace. I mean, the US likes evoking that power a lot. You can't fly your aeroplane over us, you can't do this, you can't do that. And these spaces are hanging up there, but they're subject matter for planning. And we also have the entire space conversation. In case you didn't know, listen to Elon Musk. He'll introduce you to the reality of the possibility of having life elsewhere other than the Earth. And moving forward, how some people can attempt to go live there. And so once we are also with this small space, we're also entitled to airspace. The law says yes. For now, certainly, I don't think we have the capabilities. Our capabilities are limited to high-rise structures. Yesterday, I was in a meeting where we were discussing an 11-story structure, and they're looking at the elevation of the area. They were a bit disadvantaged in the heights they want to achieve. They were a little lower. They could have increased the levels to level up with the highest point in the area. But unfortunately, they were on the hill, and so it didn't. And so we're looking at ratios. So the height, air safety, navigation. It was around the airport. People were arguing, oh, aeroplanes don't fly. This is not a fly path. But on a few occasions, I've been in a chopper landing, and then the landing strip is busy and the helicopter is just hovering around, and it's not as safe as an aeroplane, to be frank with you. It can just hit any cell site or any pole, and then that'll be it. So we have to take care of subterranean. We're looking at underground situations. We don't do massive underground stuff. I see 2-3 level, activities in a lot of these huge structures you see have underground parking provision, to about 2-3, between 1 and 3 maximum, I see. The one we discussed yesterday, for example, was a 2-level basement. And there are complexities in terms of the geophysics and all of that. So we asked the architect and the team to go back and look at it, because we're not satisfied with. Yeah, we're not satisfied at I felt sorry for the gentleman. Usually you are the managers, you put together the team coordinating, and then when everything collapses. Marine space. Yes, marine space. We have the sea, you see, we have a share. That's why we producing oil, isn't it? We had a long-running problem with Cote d'Ivoire, you remember? You follow, yeah. So we have spaces. The exclusive economic zone, for example, stretches from maybe Jamestown here, 200 nautical miles in. It's a place Ghana is entitled to. We have other spaces which we call the territorial area and the contiguous zone. Territorial area assembly can even control that. But this is, I'm not here to teach United Nations law on the sea, so you can read further about those. Oh, somebody wants to ask. Yes, sir.
So as far as the airspace and marine spaces are concerned, do you have units within your establishment that establishes your control over that area, or you liaise with other state institutions to do that for the air and marine?
Yes, sir. So we liaise with others. So we have, take marine, for example. When you enter the marine space, you have fisheries, which is a huge thing, isn't it? You have security, which is huge. You have MPS, marine protected areas, coral reefs. These are sensitive ecologies underneath the sea. You have oil and gas. You have telcos, all your bandwidth and whether the internet is fast or not. If you have an idea how that is happening, it's a lot of work. There are a lot of undersea cables. You have the knowledge base people, you have the marine finance group, the insurance people, marine health. It's a huge, so there used to be a unit in the presidency that was coordinating that we worked with, but once this MPP is gone, I don't know what this government is going to do with that group, but I think 2 weeks ago, so I was called to that meeting. So that's what we do. We do not as yet have capacity. Please, it's difficult. But we are working on a number of marine spatial plans along the Volta Basin area, so Ketu South, Angloga, and all these areas. And we're just looking at what we can do for now, protecting the tourism and the livelihoods as far as fishing and the other reserve areas are concerned. Thank you. So then reclaimed lands, yes. Yes. Yes, yes. Yes. Hey, that's natural. Otherwise, there will always be war. We would have been fighting every day. That's why when we discovered oil, Cote d'Ivoire said, anytime, if there's nothing there, nobody really talks. And that's why we have the Boundaries Commission. Have you heard the name? There's a whole institution called the Boundaries Commission under the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. That's their job. Just handling matters of our territorial boundaries. Yes. So this whole planning area as defined is actually defined also in the Constitution. It's a subject matter for planning, and that planning is guided by this law. Planning in Ghana is done by various levels of authorities. Which are these authorities? The first, the one on the top is the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority, where I work as the head of research, monitoring, evaluation. And then I decided to add learning, even though my position doesn't say that, but I didn't think my work was complete without learning. Because if you do monitoring evaluation, you collect data and you don't publish it. You don't write. If I take raw data and I give it to you, what do you use it for? I have to analyze it and give you a sense of it. So, LUSPA, as it is popularly known, is the highest authority at the national level. We usually handle policy matters, and we work with the National Development Planning Commission, NDPC, to liaise on matters of spatial planning policy. So if President John Mahama wants to make a big decision regarding how a certain area of Ghana should be used. I mean, like I was just telling about the Afram Plains thing. Yes. my office will certainly be involved because it's a spatial planning policy issue. In Japan, for example, there's a prefecture, like a region. It's called Hokkaido. Hokkaido is their agric. See, you can do anything, but that's the agric headquarters. Yes, so you don't go doing things. Agric always has the upper hand. You get me? Because they know if they don't get the food, they will be in trouble. So, Ghana, we haven't quite earmarked clear-cut spaces, perhaps because every area produces something. So, but I'll come to you. So, we are supposed to be advising on such broader issues and formulating the right policies and issues, and also issuing directives to district assemblies, regional coordinating councils on specific issues. Since I started working there, I've seen only one set of directives going. We are also supposed to train as capacity building. And then we are also supposed to monitor operations of the assemblies. I don't think we are doing that effectively, and I am in charge. And then we also issue planning permission, not planning permit, not building permit, planning permission. It's a new thing. The law just came because we realized that assemblies were not issuing permits for example, you are laying transmission infrastructure from the Western Power Enclave to Tema, which is to the east, and you have lines and lines of pylons running, or you are pulling gas from Atuabu area to power plants in Tema, and all of that. They used to just happen. Then we realized, no, there were infractions because anytime they move with this infrastructure, it redefines the landscape of the entire area, which means we have to be deliberate about how we go about it. If they run through your town, they can divide it into two, and they run across your school compound or something. It can cause a lot of confusion. So, yes, your question.
Comes to the enforcing of these laws, do you have a task force in your unit that ensures, or do you liaise with the law enforcement agencies like the police, navy, military?
Okay, let me explain something. So we are at the top, Accra. So the Accra level offices do not do stop work stuff. These are operations run by the district assemblies. In Accra, we have many of them. In the Greater Accra, we have 29 of them. Greater Accra region alone. And within the space you call Accra, we have about 22 or so. Too many. Jubilee House is not part of AMA, for example. Oh, yeah. Oh, the Ring Road police headquarters, Jubilee, they are in Ladade Kotopon. You come to where AMA's office is here. It's not part of AMA, you know that? Oh, the AMA office is not in AMA. So these are under the decentralized or district assembly or local governance, the local governance system. These spaces have been carved out and called district assemblies, and they are supposed to carry out. So we are supposed to monitor how they do their work. But where I will change my responsibility, when it comes to the matter of planning permission, when we are dealing with large scale stuff, when it's not hostile, you don't go with security agencies. So Newmont is doing massive thing. These are generally law-abiding. They're even afraid. They don't want to, because they're an international company with headquartered in New York. They don't want their stocks to fall. So they don't want to be involved in unnecessary bad news. So just on phone, they will comply. Phone, Sunday, they call me, oh, I'm sorry. They are in a hurry to comply. But when you are dealing with this lower level stuff and kiosk container here, sometimes, and we work with the building inspectorate unit. Under this law, we change the name to planning and building inspectorate, which is a team put together, comprising some people from the works department, planning department, and others to go around monitoring. But let me be quick to add that I personally do not think they are doing the work as it's supposed to be, because you see open infraction and it's there. Somebody is building on his plot, and rather you are very busy with the person, stop work. I'm saying, at least, even if he's not doing things right, he's within his parcel, isn't it? What about the person perching on the drainage edge and all of this stuff? But I think it's an issue with corruption. It's an issue with corruption when you see that, yes. So yes, we go with, when you see any law enforcement body, let me expand the explanation. Whether special planning or EPA or MP or anybody moving with police, it means things are not going very well. That is why under this law, we have what we call right of entry. So if you work for the district assembly or my office, once you bath and you get to the office, you are no more who you are. You are clothed with so much power given to you by the state and by the law that you can do things that ordinarily as a private person you can't do. So you have access to places, and the law grants you that. The law says you give reasonable notice and you go there, they have to allow you to enter. If they don't allow you, there are consequences for all of that. But sometimes all of these fail. With all of these powers, you go and they will even beat you up. So when they begin to beat you up, maybe you want police backup. And even in our parliament, I see military backups, not to talk about. So sometimes you need backups. All right. Now, so that's the national. So national, we are just dealing with policy, guidelines, training, monitoring, just ordering people around. Maybe traveling with the ministers and, doing those high level things, writing laws, policies, guidelines, manuals. That's our job, providing guidance generally. So then the next level is the Regional Coordinating Council. These people, I'm sure you are familiar with them also. In every region, you have what we call the Regional Coordinating Council. And they also have a job to do under this law. They are supposed to prepare what we call the Regional Special Development Framework, SDF. RSDF, Regional Special Development, RSDF. I don't know if I've written it somewhere. So in the whole country, we have RSDF for Greater Accra, Western Region, Northern Region. Yes, these are the only 3 regions. So the entire region has a special plan providing some indication about how. So if you check Greater Accra, we have rural Accra and urban Accra. You know that. If you take the Sege and the Adan areas, these are the rural parts of Accra. The Shire Hills area is changing a little bit. With this, and then we have the urban limits from where? Dawenya, the center, Miocho, Central University area. Yeah, you go just that way along the arc or the circumference. Is it circumference? I've forgotten those mathematics. Yeah. Well, it's a loop, so let's say it's a circumference still going around. Oh, okay. So it's an arc. It's circumference. Okay, so arc. So thank you for the education. So we're going along the arc, you chip part of Dodoa, and then you climb the hills at Adamrobe. And then you go further to Eimensa. You know Eimensa? Then you climb further, descend, then you get to Midye on the Kumasi Road, isn't it? Doboro. Then you keep going to Ashalaja. Adeukwa, then you appear at Wudubram on the Central Region Road. Yes. And then, so those, I was a coordinator for urban arterial networks. So we had plans with roads connecting all this, kind of defining the urban space and the rural space. So the idea was to move the motorway further. So if you are coming from Afla, Togo, anywhere, and you don't have business in town, we don't want to find you driving in there. You just go along the arc and then you exit, whether it's on the Dodoa route, Ebri route, Kumasi, Cape Coast. But it hasn't happened yet. Sorry. No, the plan is supposed to be a clear road like motorway. You drive on, not pieces of networks and links that are not properly rationalized. Along this route, you can still drive, but you will be driving in a zigzag format, isn't it? Okay, so that's what the RSDFs are supposed to do. I forgot to mention something. LUSPA is also supposed to handle matters of grievance issues, reviews, appeals. So if something happened to you at the lowest level, district assembly level, you are supposed to appeal to them. If you are not satisfied, you appeal to these guys. If you are not satisfied, then you end up in my office. Then if you are not satisfied, only the High Court can review that decision. Only the High Court. You can't go to the district court. So we handle appeals. The regional guys also handle appeals. Then the district level, that's where a lot of your questions may be. They do the day-to-day stuff that you see. They are supposed to prepare all kinds of plans. The highest level, the broadest plan is called SDF. I will show you a sample. Then a structure plan, local plan. Local plans are the lowest levels of plans where you have parcel subdivisions and street grids and so on and so forth. But if you go to the structure plan level, you are going, it's just like zooming in and out a Google image or something. So as you zoom out, you may not see parcels of land and the street in front of your house. You only see the Liberation Road, the major arterials. In terms of landscapes, you may not see houses, but you may see the education zone stretching from Achimota School, Jimpa University of Ghana, Presec Legon, UPSA, Accra Tech something. It used to be Atraco. So that's a massive. You may see it because it's visible, isn't it? You may see Bema Camp. So you see this light. So that's what structure plans is supposed to capture. These large scale zones. If you go further down, that's local plan. Then if you go even further up to fit the limits of, let's say, the district boundary, then you find what we call SDF. At that point, you may not even see the settlement the way you see them. You see them in dots and circles. Yes. So they do the permits, development permits. They do development control. They are just busy writing stop work. And I saw one last week. I said, remove by next month. And I was wondering, this notice could serve for eternity because no date. Remove by next month. Quite exciting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
In the case of the expansion of Beach Road, a lot of residences were more or less cut through to
Yes.
make way for the expansion. And there was a lot of grievance that they had permits. So issues like that, is there a way to hold accountable whoever issued those permits to serve as a deterrent to these practices?
Let me give you a much scary and a larger one. The There are Masterman routes. Something has happened that has never happened in my life, where even if it's 100-story, they can cut through half, quarter of it or whatever. They don't demolish. And I like that minister. What's his name? Amakwata. He led. Yes. So the rule is that if you have permits and the authority unjustifiably, I say unjustifiably because you had permits. If for any reason, let me not say unjustifiable, decide to touch you, then you will be due compensation. If it's the other way around, you pay. You did the right thing, but we still came after you. So we have to pay you compensation. But you did the right thing. We did a plan. Then we say, oh, where you are, it's not supposed to be a school. Okay, you are a law-abiding citizen. So you decide, okay, I'm giving up my house. Once it's a school zone, can be used for a school. We are supposed to compensate you to fit your effort to comply with the new plan. Are you getting me? Uh-huh. And then if you also do something against the system, you're also supposed to be penalized. You pay, usually it's in penalty units. You are dragged to court and then you pay some money. Commensurate with. So the districts, they do all of this.
Hello,
And
sir.
they have a committee system. Yes, sir.
Sorry to cut you. I
Oh,
wanted
that's
to
fine.
find out if some of this future planning have like railways and train stations in there, or it's just
Plenty.
roads?
We just have too many of them. Yes.
Hmm.
We used to have even cable car arrangement. No, not SkyTrain. Oh, cable car is this huge container hanging on a roof. Usually it's used in tourism areas. By Doppelmayr. I even had a, what do you call it? A miniature of it hanging in my office. I don't know it. Yes, the cable car. Because at the time we were a bit frustrated about how to deal with traffic, especially between here and the airport and major transport terminal. So it's okay. I don't have a cable car, skip, just hang on the cable and get to airport and all of that. Because the BRT, that's how BRT now Ayalolo, which is a watered down version of the original. BRT was supposed to have dedicated lane. So nobody will ask you to park your car. You by all means park it. Because it makes sense to hop on a bus which is driving unrestricted. It has a dedicated lane. If you were doing 1 hour to work, you now do 20, 25, and so on and so forth. Yes, they are all there. They've been there for ages. In Nkrumah's time, if you see Agbogulochi, Sodom and Gomorrah, it's more than Dubai. Yes, in 1960. Okay, let me summarize it. Ghana has a leadership crisis. And when I say leader, I don't mean Mahama or Nanado. Up to household level. Because when I go in front of your house, I see something that tells me there's no leader in the house. And then you're at your level. You may do something that suggests you are not leading. Because there's supposed to be leadership at every level. Even if you have 3, 4 kids working, somebody must lead amongst them to ensure order. So we have generally leadership crisis. We are not consciously taught it. That's why you can drop something on the street subconsciously. Won't shudder, but what shudder? Because it's done the subconscious. You didn't know you dropped it. You are so weak. I don't know. So, and it permeates to the top. So next week or so, we are expecting to hear President John Mahama read the State of the Nation address. You know that, if you are following. And I can, when? Thursday. Okay. I'm already preparing my house. It's not going to be any goodness. It's going to be this glue, grim gloom. We don't have money. The coffers are empty here. All this, isn't it? Then one day another government will come, the same. Another read the same. So it tells you that. And then you have oil. Those days they said once we have oil, poverty is gone. I thought as much. Then oil came. Then we created Heritage Fund, annual budget funding amount, and the stabilization fund, if you read this law. So the oil, when we get the money, we decided that, okay, heritage. We'll keep some for children yet unborn. Let's not chop all. Then stabilization, let's keep some money once the economy is not well. We introduce some medicine through that stabilization. Then you have ABF, annual budget funding amount, where the money is, once it comes, we disperse some direct to some key institutions. And if you read the report, it's just mess, because you have a minister who can afford every education on earth, assessing money meant for poor people to go to do masters, not in a very serious area. He's going to read MBA law. I wouldn't finance law? We have too many laws, isn't it? Too many lawyers. Argument on radio. That's listen, everybody is a lawyer. Every MP, every other somebody is an everybody. Myself, I wrote entrance exam at Jimpa twice. I passed. I couldn't go. I would have been a lawyer. What do we need all of that for? And if you were the president, would you want to finance that? Is that the priority? No. I'd rather finance other places, because I know we lack engineering. We still have a bit TVET, isn't it? Look at finishing. You go and buy furniture from Ghana, carpenter. You buy carpenter from Italy, and the difference is clear, isn't it? They are all carpenters. Carpenter 1, carpenter 2. Okay, so that's about it. Now, in all of this we are discussing, you are planners, architects, engineers, environmentalists, and so on and so forth. Be in charge. We are in charge, including some of you. One day you find yourself there. Okay, I'll come to you on the head. And usually we, the experts, you either find yourself on the side of government or you're on the side of the clients. Yes. So in all, we are still together, and the law binds us. Yes, sir. Please, after that, we come to you.
Okay, sir, I just wanted to know, so what's the relationship between the LUSPA and then the National Planning Commission? Like, what's the relationship between them if we are...
Fantastic question. Fantastic question. So under Section 4A of Act 925, the relationship is established. The law says we work with NDP, because NDPC focuses on the non-spatial aspects of development planning. So the NDPC usually will this is what the Constitution says. The Constitution says, like Mahama has come, from now to his second year, he's not supposed to exceed that. He should produce his vision for the development of the nation. Then NDPC will pick it up and start processing it up to level of guidelines where they give to the district assemblies to prepare what we call medium-term development plans. And all of this is an abstraction. Vision, we want to reduce poverty, we want to increase this revenue, we want to grow the real sector, we want to grow the small and medium scale enterprises. But if you ask where are they? So we are answering that question. Where? If you gave 3 million, so millions of COVID support to people in small business, where were they? Where? Industries, where are they? That's why one district, one factory failed. It was a policy. So NDPC captured it. One village, one dam, one district, one factory, all the ones. Yes. So this is what our relationship ideally would have been. So all this one there, we would have manifested it in space. So we would have been very clear where the dams are. The factories would have been clear. Because when we say one district, one factory, it doesn't mean every district has capacity to have a factory. You know that? Oh, you have Okaikwe, Ayawasu, North and East. East is Nima, North is Mamobi. What is this? And because they say one, you are forcing to put one factory there. No. You may want to put one in between because and even that place, I don't know which factory, maybe meat processing, because they rear a lot of animals in that space. But the animals are not supposed to be there anyway. So Chief, that's how the relationship looks like. But the challenge we have in the country is that spatial planning is not a short-termist thing. When we prepare one plan, spatial development framework can project up to about 20 years because you have to prepare the plan and follow it through. If you have a network of railway connectivities and major highways, you want to do first-class asphalt, four-lane dual carriage, Accra, Kumasi, Accra, Taman, would it take 4 years? No. So in that respect, usually the plans we have now stretch into the horizon. But NDPC, if my friend is listening to me, is locked up in this cycle of 4 year, one government comes, this one changes, and then they also shift everything aside. Now the pressure is on every government agency to align what they are doing with NDC manifesto, not the plans we have. And you know, manifestos are used to win elections. 99% of us do not even read the manifesto. I can tell you as a matter of fact that in this room, 90% of you haven't seen that manifesto. But most of us may have voted for NDC anyway. Now you are hit with the reality of having to implement that manifesto, and it's full of, in quotes, sometimes rubbish. Yeah, populist thing. One I don't understand is Women's Bank. The reason why people don't have access to working capital, startup capital, it's not about gender. It's about how the system is not working and the banks fear risk. You know, banking, where there's risk, they don't put, too much risk. If you are selling cocoa or prapraonsa or something on the roadside and you want money, and you think because there's a bank called Women's Bank, simply because it's a women bank, we should give you money. No. It's commonsensically, it may no way. We had what we call Women Well Banking. Remember? Oh, there used to be a bank called Women Well Bank. That's a women's bank. You went there, they were dealing more with men than women. Yeah, because rationally they were looking at what to sustain their portfolio, not, but the name was there. So I'm just citing an example. So if you are hell-bent on establishing Women's Bank, that's populism, isn't it? Let's look at what works, not because it's fancy, you know. Vice President is a woman, but that doesn't mean you should do. But unfortunately, in this country, like I said, leadership is still a challenge. So, and you have people who are defending them on radio, isn't it? Including some of you. You are very eloquent, speak nicely, and yeah, fantastic. You can argue your way out. I don't do arguments, but I can stick my guns and continue making rational argument about my point that kingdom come. But that doesn't mean what I'm saying would work. I'm just good at turning my tongue around, isn't it? So, Chief, that's the challenge. So NDPC, we work with them. They work on the non-spatial policy side. We work on the spatial side, and we are supposed to work together. But they are locked up in this cycle of spin, and then it doesn't quite work. In fact, the new boss who was appointed 2 weeks ago is my senior colleague. She was 2 years ahead of me in the university. One morning, I was on her compound. I didn't even know. NDPC compound. Then somebody called and said, "Oh, you hear they've appointed Dr. Audrey?" It's a public knowledge. Dr. Audrey is. I said, "Hey, okay, I'm on her compound." Then a few minutes later, I saw her driving in, and I just pitied her. Yeah, it's tough. I'm just wondering what she's going to do, because she's supposed to advise President Mahama on economic policy and all of this, but he wouldn't listen. He would rather listen to, we know there are people. Already he has advisor 1, 2, 3 and all of that. So the state institutions do not gain traction when it comes to properly advising on what works. If you advise them, they will give it to their advisor. And once that advisor says yes, fine. If he says, but usually his interest will not allow him to say yes to the national thing. Somebody wanted, she wanted, I'll come to you, sir. Then after that, I'll move a bit. It's becoming exciting, but I will have to move to the 12. So try and be leaders at your own levels. Otherwise, yes. Okay.
Two questions. The first one is, are you responsible for naming the communities? So, for example, Sodom and Gomorrah. And the next one is, sorry, this one is out of what you are teaching, but I want to know your career path. Like, so from after university, did you go to, I don't know. So I just want to know
She's
your career.
asking bullets. I need to wear bulletproof. She's asked very important, two important questions, outlier questions. Yes, they are not. Let me answer them quickly. The first one, communities. No, we name them. There's a place in Agogwa called Fear Woman. There's a place in Labadi called Kojo Sardin, Alokochi Oshi. You can remember some of the funny names. Each of you can give me one funny, isn't it? Yeah, some very funny. You are in a. If you bought Trotro, oh, I'll get down at Abenase Transformer, signboard 50 signboard. Watermelon. Yeah, they are all over third gates and first stop. And usually it's just about who first went there. White House, American House, so on and so forth. Then when you go to where the retired military guys are, you find Israel, you find Lebanon, you find da. And then these days I hear something city. That's a new thing. So we are not, my institution unfortunately is not. That mandate is with the Survey and Mapping Division of the Lands Commission, because as an institution in charge of mapping, and take note the difference between mapping and planning, they produce a base. So usually these days mapping has become a little less mysterious, because of all this map infrastructure. And if you, I was the lead planner for the Apiate reconstruction work. Apiate is a village that suffered massive mine explosion and the whole town went down. People's heads were chopped there and all of that. And we rebuilt it. So I did the design. And so I had the privilege of, I drove there twice and I told the minister I was too tired, 7 hours in and out. So he made a helicopter available for me or anytime. And anytime we got into the air, I had a better understanding of all I was taught in KNUST. Yes, because I see settlement systems from one household settlement, just a dot, a house, buried in the middle of forest, to 5 houses, to 10, 15, to. And I remember being taught that we have what we call homestead, one house settlement. Then you have farmstead after about 5. Then you have hamlet before you come to village. So within the rural band, you have village, hamlet, farmstead, homestead. I didn't quite understand till just a year ago. So and if you look on Google, you see this or any map infrastructure. So, madam, we don't name them. They just come organically. Kojo Krum. Because Kojo was there. And maybe Ashanti region. Then if he's from a northern extraction, they usually will not say Krum. They'll say Kojo Akura. And if you are from the town area, they also have fixation about Akura. So Pe, Sogako Pe, something Pe, Alikoko Pe, all the Pe, village, Kope. I'm told in Ewa is village. So there are a lot of Kopes, but usually, so there are cultural underpinnings. There are some groups of people in Ghana who would not be quick to say where I live is a village, or they'll just say Krum. Are you getting me? So, madam, that's about it. Career path after tech, I was a TA, and Professor Adakwa, former vice chancellor. I think he's retired now. And then I didn't want to be a lecturer for some reason. Yet I didn't know what to do. Can you imagine? Because Professor Andam, you may have heard about him, he transformed KNUS. Anybody coming has just added a little bit. He transformed it. And he introduced a PhD system. And there's a professor in KNUS Plan Department now called Professor Boensi. Boensi is I think he's the head of graduate studies now. So he was a year behind me. I was supposed to join them too, but I didn't want to. I don't know. So I just kept loitering around, and I found myself in the north working with an NGO in rural grain banking. So I was a rural banker, and we're not dealing with cash. We're dealing with non-cash elements. So when we come to your village, we see you look poor, yet you have 50 cows. So we say, you know what, you are rich, but you don't know. Okay, so we have a bank. Would you want to save 20 cows with us? Or you have 100 bucks of maize, you look poor, your kids are not in school, you don't have money to pay this. That's okay, you know what? Yeah, we are a bank. Would you want to save some of your product? So that's what we're doing. We had warehouse and all of this. It's a very innovative scheme. All of this fantastic stuff are rotten away. And one day I wasn't happy. I just packed and left Tamale. And then my friend Celestina called me and said, where are you? I said, they had posted me to Yendi, Damango, back to. I said, I'm in the north. Hey, Mohammed, wouldn't you want to come to Accra? I said, I will. He said, come. Our plan is recruiting. That's it. So I came, just joined, and I've been there. But I left the US to work with EPA, Environmental Protection Agency headquarters in Washington. So I was in Congressional Affairs Office. So, the US are always a step ahead of the system. I don't know how God. So they don't. So my office. No, I'm answering. I wouldn't have answered, but I'm answering because it just reminds me of my Yama journey. I don't know where I am as I stand here. So I would have listened. I used not to listen. I used to read about Parliament of Ghana. I'll read and I'll be interested in who said something about architecture and planning this week. So Honorable A.B.C.D. Lieberman, Dennis Hastert, Barbara Boxers. When I was there, they were there. Yeah, they were the senators, and Obama was a senator in the Hart. His office was in the middle of the three buildings. Senate, he was in Hart, H-A-R-T. So you listen to them. So I know that this senator is for us. Because they say things that favor. This senator, this congressman, they don't quite favor us. So by the time we move in, we know who to lobby, who to go and convince, and all of that. You don't just, in Ghana, government institutions just move honorable, and they will be asked all sorts of questions, no strategy. They just walked into the wild animals and they're asking them all the questions. So my job was to track and compile, take to my boss, track, compile, take to my boss, and then they would decide. And I remember Obama was very, he hadn't become a president then. He was extremely brilliant guy. So anytime he was back from his state, we were hot because we know he will scrutinize any report we took there. So that's just by the way. But the Americans asked me to have 3 goals, academic goals. Academic is 1, then professional goal 2. Then they asked me to have civic interest goal. You see, what are you going to do for your community? And each student has that. I'm going to help to clean the street from here to here, so you write it. and then you go and do it. It will be supervised. You bring it, and then you log it into your CV. So every student has a draft CV, which you are building on, and they assist you. By the time you finish school, it's not a time to be doing association of unemployed. You have a certain level of clarity in your head before you go looking for a job, you understand? And the employers too give jobs to people who have done this job. So they'll rather give job to her because she was scrubbing a toilet somewhere than you who was having a nice time, you understand? So that's the system. So one day I packed my bag again. I don't know what happened. I just came back home. I was not married then. Actually, I wanted to have a family in Ghana. I didn't enjoy the white system. They were too complex for me then. I couldn't imagine having half castes because they are, I'll lose them. I can't call them my kids. I didn't. So that's one reason. And then my grandmother, she was a nice 107-year-old lady who always told me long story. So I didn't want her to die whilst I was away. Thankfully, I came down before she died. So these are my values. So I came. But now the system is so tough. You rather your mother dies, but not your grandmother. You send WhatsApp video. A bit trying to coughing WhatsApp video amount. Where the hot. Okay. I think this will be the last one and then we proceed.
Okay, sir. So Tema Motorway is expanding. I wanted to know if it's part of the future planning or is the 4-year program thing.
No, master. It's a political decision. If I were president or somebody who could take decision, I will not expand motorway. See, the reason why motorway is congested is there. Oh, what change would you make expanding from Tamaran about to? Tell me. So you get in there, you drive smoothly, and you go where? Oh, that's how human beings have BP. You have blood flowing, suddenly no place, and then your vessels are bursting. So the network just begins. So I mean, the Accra Mall area is going to become an additional nightmare unless we are able to continue the network to key nodes. When I say key nodes, key activity areas and points. Like Kaswa is a major player. Have all this. Now even up to Winneba Junction. I think they are working on it. And we have to have transport systems that move people, not cars. Now we are just moving. So 70% of our road space is carrying not more than 2.5 people statistically, because we don't have 0.5 human beings. So we have to have the reverse, where you have few cars carrying more people, and then the system will be fluid. And a lot of the so-called expansions we are doing, we may not need them. We'll put them somewhere and later expand. So it doesn't make rational planning or engineering sense to me to just expand the middle of nowhere. Are you getting me? Sign here to here. And then, but it's a political decision. Oh, we did it, we started it. And you find educated people like us latch onto it. We think nice, but it doesn't make full sense. I would rather invest that money into the arterial network I was explaining to you. Then we would offload any vehicle coming from outside Accra, which has no business in the middle. We'll just go by that route and exit. To me, would have served us better. To me, this money, when used to do a BRT system, we create dedicated median lanes or side lanes, bus-only markings, and put 50 or 80 or 100 Ayalolos on road Adenta route, create what we call park and ride facility at West African Secondary School. Because those coming from Eburi and Dodoa, they need to park their cars and board. Because phase one, I wouldn't say that we should extend it. With that, I mean, I was discussing with the boss in charge of that. But we are not bold also. If you make a Nigerian to head this, he will make it. They are bold. But they also have their problem. All right, so then we have the special planning system. I told you that we used to just go subdividing plots, streets, educational area, residential area, commercial area, and all of that. Now we've moved beyond that. We start from top broad to specific down. So as we speak, we have what we call the National Spatial Development Framework, a plan for the entire territorial area of Ghana, specifying the hierarchy of human settlements. The first order is Accra, Kumasi, Tadi, Tamale. And you have the next layer, you have the Techimans and the Ho, Sunyai, Boko. I mean, the capitals of those days. So we have, in this plan, we have a hierarchy, and for each of these settlements, we have prescribed what services and infrastructure should go there. So you don't take Agenda 111 hospital to your village because you are influential in parliament. We take it there because, per the hierarchy, it has a threshold that can handle and serve people. Are you getting me? And then we also have, so I'm just giving you an example of a National Spatial Development Framework, which is the highest. We have what we call food sheds. They're just on paper for now. So a radius of 50 kilometers from the shoreline, beyond is supposed to be a food shed. So if for some reason we don't get food from Burkina Faso and all these other areas, we don't get, Yemwadie. 2 years ago, we imported $300 million worth of Yemwadie. Yeah, how can a country be spending $300 million to import towel? So don't be surprised the economy is, you don't $300 million, and then it's fueling the foreign exchange. 300 million for Yemwadi alone to eat in a choba. It's too much. So the special development framework, I want to emphasize, is the highest level of plan in the planning system of Ghana. So we have the National Special Development Framework, our jump sub-national. We have regional, we have district. We also have what we call sub-national. Sometimes you have a special development framework which is not dealing with administrative boundaries. Are you getting me? So those days, when we had SADA, now NDA, you know SADA? Savannah Accelerated Development Authority. They got locked up in corruption in Mahama 1. Guinea fowls were flying, all of this. Akufo-Addo transforming. See, they are just interested in superficial things. Transform it into Northern Development Authority, Middle Belt Development Authority, Coastal Development Authority, Zongo Development Fund. Again, back to your question. Then I got myself, one day I was driving and I got called. But, they have established a new ministry, Zongo something. Would you want to come? So I said, yes. I came and said, they don't have anything. They don't have a mandate, vision, mission, no organizational manual, no organizational structure, which office to establish, what to do. So I went there to assist do that. And I hung up there, driving in convoys for about 4 years and left. I wasn't a politician, so they didn't like me really. Because they like unnecessary things, convoys and flying here and there and just that. Well, I wouldn't say they're not working, but they're not doing things that change lives, If there's money to give to people, they give to party, you help us campaign, not you need it, that kind of thing. And so, so I had experience setting up a ministry from nothing, even though it was scrapped after the first, and then we wrote the Zongo Development Fund Act 964, created the Zongo Development Fund, is there right now. So those are so what I would say is that you're an architect, but when opportunity presents itself for you to do something a little different from do it, because it's all interconnected. And the reason why we don't get to be the be the ministers and the thing, we've left it to the lawyers and the political science people, that we are too engrossed in our core job, which is okay. But sometimes also just try things, because it will provide the opportunity to understand the situation beyond your desk, you know. So that's SDF. So we prepared one plan capturing the whole of Upper East, Upper West, Northern region, part of BA, part of then Volta, which is now OT. Because in the poverty index, they were leading. And they had one unique feature where we realized the agri potential was very high. So if you combining 3 to 5 regions, that's a sub-national thing. Are you getting me? So that's what we mean by sub-national. You can also have sub-regional and all of that. But when you are dealing strictly with the boundaries, that's where you have national, regional, district. But when you are combining spaces, irrespective of which district or what boundary, then you are dealing with sub-national or sub-regional. I explained already. Structure plan, we prepare it at town level. So if you enter, let me move away from Accra. Who would want to share his region with me? So we, of course. Okay, so if we take Upper East, I hope I know Upper East. So we have Bolga, Boku, Paga, Fumbisi. Yeah. Fumbisi, and then Sandema, isn't it? Paga. Yes. Yeah, Navrongo, Paga. These are the nodes. These are the key. So in Upper East region, or if I take any of the districts, Bolga may not be a fantastic example because it's also because the meat factory area is not part of Bolga municipal. Those who know, I don't know, travel a bit. You are too obsessed with Accra. Those who know Bolga, you are in Bolga town and Nkrumah established a meat factory. You are in town. You just pass by it and say, this is not part of Bolga. Because of this, excuse me, this, I don't know how to describe it, because I don't want to be overly blunt. It's nonsensical. In Ghana, when you say nonsense, it's like an insult, isn't it? But really not. But it doesn't make sense for AMA office to be sitting on another assembly's land. To say that the presidency, police headquarters, prisons, they are not part of AMA. Are you getting me? To say Osu is not part of AMA. It's clote something, and on and on and on and on. So it makes, for us built environment professional, it makes management of space difficult. How do I take care of a drain, Odo drain, which is cutting through 17 municipal assemblies? Yeah, how do I go dealing with one different assembly says this is our vision? Can you handle it? How do we handle sanitation this way? All of you have left your home from outside AMA, I can say for sure, majority, and you are in AMA jurisdiction right now, and you are going to eat here, leave your waste here, and do a lot of things here, and just go home and sleep. Assuming you were working here, isn't it? So imagine, so what becomes of it? Then that district you are in will count you as part of their population, plan for you, or you're an absentee citizen. Yes, I move from Adenta Municipal every day to AMA jurisdiction to work every day. Even a lot of weekends I don't stay home. Yet they account for me and plan. I mean, it doesn't. So structure plan focuses on the town level. So Boko, Navrongo, Sandema. This. If you go to Upper West, who knows Upper West area? So we have Wa. We have Laura, we have Jirapa, we have Nandom. They have just about 5 places where there is, I don't know, where there's WhatsApp. I don't mean this WhatsApp. I mean where, yeah, the whole region. These are the places where you can have a feel of Yeah, some urban life. So structure plan usually focuses on these major towns. Then local plan focuses on the neighborhoods within each town. So having focus on the whole township, you now divide it into this area, this area, this area. And that's where you find the detailed subdivision of parcels of land at the local plan level. And the permits usually are based on the local plan, the permits issued. But sometimes, if you don't have a local plan, they can look at a broader provision in the next higher level plan and use that to make the decision. And the law says that these levels of plans are supposed to be connected. So the higher level should inform the next, and this one should inform the next. So if you have a national special development framework, which indicates somewhere that the whole of from Burma through parts of cantonment, courtesy American Embassy and Co., they will all become security enclave. And you weave through to along Thomas Aquinas Secondary School. That road is called Cantonment Road. You come, you have prisons there, isn't it? And you weave through, come to police headquarters, you come to Jubilee House. I dare say because of Nanado, you can extend it further to where his house is part of Nima. And that's in planning, security zone. So you can't go flying your drone, for example. Do you know that? Yes, yeah, right now. You can't fly. These areas, you can't fly drone. You need special permission. The national security will send you the code, and at least national security is doing its job. But as a planner on paper, I see this designated as a security zone. But when I enter there, I don't feel sick. Yeah, I don't feel security. It's just the US Embassy. You know, you know when you enter there and you don't put up your phone, you come. No, I don't know the consular section, but when you go to do serious business, meeting ambassador and all that, they will jam your phone before you come out. So they don't need to ask you put off your phone. The phone will behave. They will jam it. You have to put it off, restart before the phone will come. That's proper security zone. Because they don't want you to enter there. You see, there you can come. Osha. This is not the time to be brutal. Somebody is standing at the gate. Who are you? You know that we think security means physically abusing its intelligence. So we are busy party food soldiers, national security wearing this. If that's security, then you are dead. Yeah, you've exposed yourself. I'll kill you and go. But this guy will be walking naively, normal, tapping, say conversation, lunch break. He's gone with all the information. Okay, so the law says this plan must be prepared by a qualified planner. And by interpretation, qualified planner is somebody who is properly certified, at least by the guidance of plan, and so on and so forth. Yesterday in the meeting, I asked the architect, are you in good standing? I asked my colleague architects, can you please check to see the check? And he paid his dues just a day or two prior. Otherwise, we would have sacked him. It's not in good standing. Yeah, so throughout this, you don't go and sit in your room and design. Architects, sometimes you can have your way. Planners, if people want to give you tough time, they can. So you are supposed to consult. And the consultation, let me just tell you briefly, verbally. When you prepare the plan, you are supposed to, whichever means, these days we have all these social media handles, but the traditional ones were to paste it at the assembly, community center in town. Just notify people that there's this plan and the preparation. Keep one in what we call the public data room, which is supposed to be within the assembly. And after the 60th day, if nobody has anything to say, you proceed. 660. 2 months, yes. People are supposed to give you this. And last year, something was being done in Cantonment. It was sad. And the team was going around meeting people. And I realized it was only the expatriates who were interested in. No Ghanaian was interested in coming to find out what are you doing about the plan for? No, no, no. They only came if they had complained. Somebody poured water and the drain is smelling and all. They are not interested in the future of the layout of their place. Only the expatriates. So it tells you the culture of community participation. Here, maybe because we are tired and fed up. So participation is key. If somebody refuses to do this, the plan can literally be shut down because it lacked the element of consultation, community participation. Yes, sir. Yeah, plan. Oh, it happens, especially at the local plan level. I have consulted for, well, in Apiate, for example, because it was state supported, we did extensive consultations. I remember going with Gina Paul. We presented the thing. The people were asking very interesting questions. You see, and I never, because we did fantastic, typical fantastic, nice design. But life is not always as nice as you want to imagine it. It can be nice another way. So we did that, and then the woman said, "Oh, those days, the way her house was that she was just facing the other compound this way. And then when she's going out, she can leave her key with the neighbor. She can shout across, get salt, or vice versa, give me. And now by this design, you have street grades and gates has shut that off. So we had to reconfigure the design into a puzzle system. Yeah, a local plan essentially. It's parcel plots. We did this typical thing, but it wasn't going to work for them. The close knit arrangement they had was going to be broken. The ties were going to be broken. So we had to introduce a concept to attempt to introduce. So if you go there now, we have a puzzle system where it's like it's possible to push the houses and then they can form whole unit. Just to answer that question of, so we decided to put some of them the streets behind them so that you have just a small lane of not even more than 3-4 meters. Yeah, then they can still interact. My children can run across. Can you give me salt, pepper, drink soup? I can just, that kind of thing. So the participation is nice. Otherwise, you will just do a fantastic European American thing, the Dubai stuff, which is okay, maybe for environments in Accra, but not when you are going in close to areas of heritage like rural areas. You have to be careful. And if you don't consult them, you wouldn't find the right needs. Not to talk of their deities and all. If you go to the Jamestown area, you see middle of road, there's a small god perching there, and the road will diverge here. There. It looks nasty, but if you don't do that, there wouldn't be peace, isn't it? How do you just run first class asphalt over somebody's god? Because you want a nice environment. So you have the SDF structure plan, local plan to permit kind of. So this at the time, it was just a job. So this thing is the SDF. These brown places you see are the human settlement. Ajiso, Jabin, those who know them, Achao Krum. And then what? Only. Yeah, so you have the SDF. Oh. Yeah, so after the SDF, then we just carved just the township of Ejiso, and that's it. So if you move from this wider space of the entire district, who can tell me where this deep green patch is? There's a palm plantation. I think the Joabin chief also, even that's processing of pump, inspection, that's it. So then we zoom in on Ejiso, and it's not very clear, but this typifies Ejiso where you see the yellow, a few educational enclaves, a few outlining suburban areas where agric was happening, a few dots of industrial activity, and a railway line crossing somewhere, just giving you the framework, the backbone structure of the Ejiso Township. And that's why you don't see plots of land. You see enclaves. And these enclaves define zoning: residential, commercial, educational, place of worship, industrial zone, and so on and so forth. Usually the zones, you find them in the structure plan. Then when you chip just a bit of any of these spaces, you can now detail it out and have parcels of land where you have the street grids, detailed land use, building height issues, and so on and so forth. So, for example, around the Airport West Association International School area, you have maximum allowable height of about 24 meters. You know how many levels that can give you, not more than 6. So, I mean, depending on the height of each level. If you are doing 3, you can have some 8, isn't it? So things like that. This is where we begin to detail that in what we call the local plan. In the past, it used to be called layout, planning scheme. When the law was rewritten, all of that was considered archaic brothel, and they changed it. You can say that, fine, you will be forgiven, but if somebody in the fiscal plan office says that, he will be looked at twice. Yeah, so just that small section. So moving forward, permit. I mentioned already that under the laws, it's not quite working the way we want it. If you dispose of land without recourse to the plan, it's not allowed. And the law says that any such sale of land or allocation of land which does not conform to plan are void. The transaction in law, when we say void, it means it has no effect of law. But I tell you, today, Nana Chief now can go and sell land free. He wouldn't respect anything. And when he goes to Lands Commission, they will register it for the person. So we have challenge there. We also have a situation in the law where you are supposed to have a permit. We all know it's a matter of law. And when permit is issued, it can be conditional or unconditional. We all understand conditional. So this application we discussed, I keep referring to it yesterday. We gave him condition. We'll give you permit, but we will not grant 11 story. Reduce it to, I wouldn't say, we asked him to cut it down. And then you have a conference facility, 260 capacity, ABCD. We can't allow that because your parking and giving the level of service on that stretch cannot support that, unfortunately. If we had all these big road spaces, and maybe we'll grant it. So these are conditions. And then we said, okay, the deceleration lane should not be part of the right of way. Cut part of your plot and use for that. So if a vehicle wanted to veer off the main road, it should be veering off, beginning, already sitting on portion of your land, because we do not have good right of way. These are conditions. The drain is currently 0.6. If we look at your development, all the paved surfaces, and we look at how much water you are going to accumulate and you discharge into this drain, it cannot handle. So, condition, improve the drain, get 0.9 or something. So that permit is conditional. Sometimes it can just unconditional, but you hardly see unconditional permits, because if you do not have a conditional permit, it's difficult to declare it unauthorized when the person is not. I'll come to the person. Somebody raised his hand, right? Okay, I'll come to you. So then once you are given permit, fine. If you do not have a permit, your development is what? Unauthorized. That's point one. Development without permit. Then we also have unauthorized development. They have permit, all right, but they didn't follow the condition. Expand the drain, reduce the levels, do that. The developer had a swimming pool and there were no washrooms, so no changing room. So I said, oh, somebody wants to swim. Why would he? He has to change, isn't it? And they want to pee, they have to, there's a washroom. You want them to walk wet with water dripping and walking through. No, we will not make it subjective because of so many factors. We will not make it subjective because I don't see how you go and there's no place for you to change. I will not. Yes. Oh, no. Oh, it's a public. It's a mixed use, huge, which has shops, penthouses, all this. Yeah, it's a public one. Oh, what happens within the forecourt of ADA? It's between you and your eyes. Yes. In landlord, when we say appropriate, dispose, convey, they all mean land being given from one to. So this one, you have permits, you didn't follow condition. The last one, you were misbehaving and the permit was revoked outright and you continued. So unauthorized. So the matter of unauthorized development can arise not only when you don't have permit. When you have permit, you didn't follow condition. When you didn't follow condition and we revoked it, still, you went still holding that and showing to people that I have permit. They are all unauthorized. Yes, sir. The questioner.
I wanted to find out about the permits given to Atomic Junction where the New Palace Mall is. There's another mall, Center Point Mall, on that same stretch. And then the traffic, I don't know if they did a traffic impact assessment on that region, but there's a lot of contention there. So I wanted to know, is there a way, I don't know if your planning accommodates for that, if the land use was appropriated for that.
As a matter of fact, I cannot provide the answer because I don't know what discussions went into those specific. What I could have ventured is if you had mentioned transitions. Did you say? Yeah, but the reason for if you see log jams on a road, there are several reasons, isn't it? One could be that there are no alternative routes, so everybody is. So to solve it, improve alternatives. That could be one. Two, which is systemic, is you have just too many low capacity vehicles. 90% of them is the only person, or he and his child, he and his wife, they say, all of whom from that stretch could have been in 3 buses. So rationally, that's another way to solve it. There are many other ways, intersection signal configuration. Sometimes some of the signals, they go on and off too, before you move, it's red. And then sometimes it's just the no vehicle. It means that the signal timing is what has to be looked at. And if it's a smart signal, the cameras will zoom and see where there's a lot of traffic and then automatically turn green. If you listen to news, we have had so many of such projects. The police did one, Ninyina Atonsium, millions of dollars spent. It didn't happen. So those sometimes, and that has been my argument. And then they asked me, Mohammed, what interest do you have with this developer? I said, if you have system malfunction, why do you transfer it to this developer? Why do you want because he wants to do a mall to solve? Why do you want to use him to solve the problems that a system, road improvement, drainage improvement, and all of that? Let's be sincere. Is it supposed to be a developer's job? No. The system has to make those things available for investors to come and fit in, make designers comfortable. You do all your work. In fact, elsewhere, all this information on geophysics and geotechnical soil and all, you can even get it from the local authority. They will tell you if you drill 10 meters, this is what you encounter. You do this, you do that. The water quality is this. It can corrode your reinforcement. It can do that. Sand here, possible liquefaction. Are you getting me? Jenna, and they will take money from you, but you wouldn't be bothered. But to now go and hire individual, I don't know, mechanical engineer, civil engineer, geophysicist. If you take engineering about 5 to 6, it's too much. I think so. And all of these feed into investment behavior. Ghana Investment Promotion, Neniage. But he doesn't know that the way things work, he can frustrate developers. And they will go to Cote d'Ivoire, which happened in 2022 a lot. Frustration, and then they move. So that's how things work. Let me move a bit faster. The permits we give, they are those that we used to just call them building permit or some construction. The World Bank guys, they prefer to call construction permit. But when these laws were written, we recategorize them. So generally, if you are doing any of this, you count for one permit or the other. And now we call it development permit. The reason why the name was changed to development permit was that there was another permit introduced called planning permit. When you are doing things like a temporary structure, you want to put a kiosk or container, because they haven't been handled well, we've demonized all of them. Oh, but that's, if it's well placed within building lines and, yes, I don't know if, I see them all over. It's in China, South Korea. South Korea, they have Kantamanto equivalent. I went there to buy phone, slightly use Samsung phone. Of course, their used phone is not like our use. Our use means the phone is tired. The slightly used means he used it only one day and he saw a new brand and decided, and the price. They have containers. Except that there are clear markings, pedestrians here, you don't cross. I mean, these common sense things. But here, I don't know. So if we want to place a container, you are coming for permit. Why do we take you through the full rigor? So you get what we call planning permit, because the decision should be a simple planning one. Demolition, change of use. You want to put advertising sign. You want to consolidate 2 plots, 2 separate plots, or 3, 4. You want to put them together because a warehouse is now going to be there instead of 4 different units. Means you are consolidating, or opposite, you are subdividing. You are hoarding your site. You are not ready to develop. You want to hoard. These are not things that. Yes. So the law says you give planning permit, and in giving this planning permit, the considerations are land use. So what is the place supposed to be used for? Yes, I asked my friend developer, I want to do mixed use. I want to do a television station will be there and a mall and all of that. I said, what was the original designated use for the place? He was looking at me. We have to know. Was it supposed to be for resident or commerce or this? Let's know before we can move from there. So if you come and you want a planning permit for this fairly simple, I call them fairly simple because if you look at the list prior, you are not doing any massive construction, isn't it? These are lightweight. We just look at what is the land use orientation. If the road is here, are you facing the other side? So this developer was going to face the Nsawam Road. And his frontage is where we have a lay-by. Trotroba, bus stop, where they park and drop. And he said, oh, how do you find a bus stop sitting right in front of? So those will be looked at, orientation, size of plot. We need to be sure what percentage of the land you are building. You can't build 100%, isn't it? Yes. You shouldn't do more than 60, 65. Because you need parking, you need to landscape, you need assembly point for occupants and all of that. So building density, in terms of the massing, how many? Because we have high density areas, low density. Rich people usually will be in low density. Yeah, because he has large plot, swimming pool, a garden, small house, dog pen. You are a poor man. You need a place to put your head, and you are thinking of, you can't even park Uber, Toyota Vitz. So you have so many of such small structures, and so the density certainly will be high, and it's also high rise. We look at, please, I'll come to you. So your building line, scheme, you will laugh at me. Color scheme on this road, Liberation Road, is the foremost ceremonial road in Ghana. Do you know that? Yes. When the presidents come and all of that and want to show level, that's why we drive them. That's why they paint the caps. You don't have anywhere else. So, in where planning works, you can't go and paint telecell in the name of advert. Go and paint some red, serious, just off. You get me? The structures here do not have the same paint color, isn't it? But if you look, the spectrum is not, you don't feel it doesn't hit, except MTN. But they've also tried to use a little vegetation cover to, are you getting me? So if you come, part of the decision, oh, you want to do this, you want to build a house here, or you want to put your container there or whatever, and then you are coming with this pure yellow, some colors can just hit your brain. And usually there are these marketing guys, Azar paint. So you give your building to Azar to paint because you can't paint your house. And I see many of those. Something. Nkatia Boga. So when you come, the planning people, this is the parameter they look at. And under normal circumstances, when your structure is finished, you got a permit, but you are supposed to get a certificate before you can inhabit. But this doesn't usually happen. I can't tell why. Those who come for this certificate are the high value ones, because if they don't comply, they will suffer needlessly. So they are better off exhausting the process. But ordinary house or projects, they usually will not. Yes, somebody's hand was up. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. So I think in your presentation, you made mention of when you have a land, I think 65% building up to that.
Yeah.
I think we have a situation where some lands and all that are dollar valued and all that. Sometimes you are buying half a plot, quarter plot. How are those things work? Because a quarter plot, if they are to build only 65%, how are those things?
Quarter plot means the original plot was of what size?
And now,
well, let me take this opportunity to educate you. And I'm a one-man fighter in this. When they say plot, I say, what do you mean by a plot? Because land sizes vary. They even vary across cultures and those days, I don't know now, Kumasi is gone bad. Those days, you bought a piece of land, what they call plot, was so huge. You'll be doing some 30 by 40 meters. Yes.
Hey.
Now, they've also learned from the Accra people and they are slicing. But the standard sizes I see 70 by 100. That's 0.16 of an acre. Yes, so then let's say 100 by 70. That's, is it 500 meters square? I don't know. Yeah, approximately. So let's take it from there. Let's take that to be your plot, isn't it?
All right.
And then half of it, depending on how the cutting was done. It was done on the 100 side, at least you have 50 by 70, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
But if it's done the other way, you have 35 by 100. Right? It's like the whole of a rat. Then you see the challenge for design. You now begin to
Yes.
encounter that. And that is why when we go back, professionalism has to come to play. If it wasn't done by a professional, you see these irrational ways of subdivision showing access some way, the plot orientation, size, and all of that. But again, let's come back to it comes to design ingenuity. How these days, if you watch social media, I see actually these Nigerian guys are those introducing the. If you observe, you see, I have some of my phone, I've been saving the videos. They have a way of just designing and putting a structure on just any size of land you so-called small, and just the way they configure stuff. Yes, they show, yes. They show inside, except that it necessarily must be a story. Usually. So you find the bedrooms up, and then you find the living area and maybe some library or something. But there's a way. But your question, you see, those days when I was in school, we were taught that we are first class area, second, and all of that. And then later, some professors said, oh, inclusive planning, inclusive development. We are all one. Don't discriminate. But I have come to learn that when they come to status, standard of living, is inherently discriminatory. Oh, you want to live where Elon Musk lives? What is inclusivity about you wanting to live where? You can't afford to live where he is. You want to live at Airport Hills, not Boche Newtown. It's a choice. Nobody is forcing you, but can you afford to live there and comply with? You have access, you have nearly 30-meter road reservation and all of that. So, Master, to answer your question,
Yes, sir.
all of these situations end up in a design challenge. And your block plan must demonstrate to the planning authority that you have been able to make best use of whatever space your client has put forth. That's what I'll say. Because if you leave the planners, they'll go the short route and they say, oh, this is too small. And that is why in planning law, the minimum parcel size, I don't want to call it plot, has been pegged currently at 110 meters square meters, so that the poor people can also live. No matter how you chop the plot, you can put something the size of a container or container times 2 and live. They don't have a car. They don't have the big sitting arrangements you have in your living area. They don't have washing machine. They don't have that. They just want to live. So then you can accommodate that. But the law says if you have a plot or a parcel of land that small, then there should be agreement to have access around it. If you don't have, then the parcel size adjusts to about 330 meters square.
Okay.
And then the rule also is that the frontage must be regular, straight,
Okay.
not zigzag or some 3 meters frontage, some awkward stuff. No, that will be rejected by them. Moving forward, I just want to end soon. Permits, not everybody is supposed to come for permit. So diplomatic mission, your grandfather is from Mali. Your embassy is not supposed to come for permit, okay? To build. Military and security general. When I say security, prison, police, and the rest. But they are supposed to deposit this, just in case, with the planning authority. Not necessarily all of them. The officer will look at it and let you know which one of them they need. So your embassy, we don't need. I can't imagine you asking Russian embassy, American embassy, because America is undermining the whole of Europe. The whole, can you imagine? One country has put together a continent and is dribbling. If it were Africa, we say, hey, they are cheating. He's dealing with, they are dealing with their grandparents. Because they came from the same. So if you have such powers, you just have to be moderate. That's why we're moderate and say, look, don't try. But let us have some of this. But it doesn't include non-security areas. So Bemakam, you can do things. But if you are building a primary school there, and I see a Goyle filling station, what is security about? Primary school and a filling station. And so they are not part of it. But I don't want to know how the design of the commander's house. Why should you know how the general's house layout is? You don't have business there. Those are the security, or the security installations where they are keeping the armory. I used to have an office in Osu Castle, and down they had plenty guns and bullets, and they used to store some of our national. I think they've taken them. Oh, I shouldn't have said it, but I've said it. And so when people are coming, they say, hey, they seize my phone. They do. I say, yes, this place is a little slippery, so please bear with them. Yes. Oh no, they are apart from the security group and the diplomatic group, everybody else. We in the past we used to, when I was in school, finished school until 8 years ago when we rewrote this law. Even universities were exempted. Mining was exempted. Do you know why? For example, mining, they wanted to make life easy so that they can do their business and we get money. But now we realize it's all rubbish. The universities were doing what they want. University of Ghana, years back, were having problem with national security. I don't know where you were then. They built the Okponglosa, where the sports stadium is. The gate was very close to the intersection, the traffic light. And it was causing a lot of problems. Because as they do security clearance, you see a tailing back of vehicles onto there. So national security said, no way. We can't allow this. So they went and demolished it. And then so where it is now is a push in. It used to be very close. Demolished it. And then it became a national conversation. Joy FM, everybody was calling people, interviewing them. And I listened carefully. And some were just espousing illiterate position because they didn't know what the law's position. And they were just talking, smart guys always. But at that time, they were off the exemption list. But the so-called experts, they were quoting the old laws. Oh, they're exempted. And I said, because of this rubbish, that's why they were taking off. Because the understanding was that a typical university, KNU, how can KNU not have development office. You know, they all have development office. Okay, development office now have standard set of engineers, architects when you are training them. And we are assuming that they know what to do. That's why they were on the exemption list. But now we realize things don't work the way we think. So off. Sometimes you are doing a project, the place is supposed to be for oil refinery, but China Mall wants to come there. Hey, what do we do? You have to, okay, I'll come to you. You have to put in an application. If it's an entire zone, you rezone. If it's a one parcel, change of use. So take note. Change of use is different from rezone. Rezoning is when you want to change the use, the entire use of a zone. And I gave you examples of zone. I gave you education zone. I gave you security. Education zone, if you stretch your eyes, see where Achimota School is. See Jimpa. See University of Ghana. See Presec Legon. See UPSA. Go further down, see Accra Technical Training something. Is it College of Education? See, that's a zone. And then you come, this private, there's this private secondary school. Ideal has come to work there. Then beyond Ideal is Trinity, which is also an educational. And then you go further, you find National Accreditation, GTech. So you see how large a zone is. Now, so it doesn't mean you don't find banks there. It doesn't mean you don't find cocoa seller. It doesn't mean you don't find. But any other use you find within the zone is supposed to be subservient to the primary use. No use within this space I've described to you is supposed to be projected beyond education. If we begin to see anything in this space more glaring than education is supposed to portray, then there is problem with the zoning. So let's say you put in an application, you have millionaires from Dubai, and they say the whole of this education zone, we want to turn it into the likes of Canary Wharf, and we all know where Canary Wharf is. The equivalent of Marine, we wanted to do what we call, it's like a financial district where you find the big banks, insurance group. Ghana, we don't quite have, but I see something forming on this corridor, isn't it? I see a subtle, and Bank of Ghana has come to peg there. It used to be the high street. The high street had Stanchart, Barclays, Commercial Bank of Ghana. That was our financial district. Because of this same traffic, it took the whole day to enter there. So commercial and economic sense started moving them. Nobody asked them to move. So they're all moving. So you see the bank's headquarters is, See, I think is it Barclays? Stanchart, Zenith, Carl, it stretches up to ADB, so on and so forth. Stanbic, well, not their headquarters is further, but then BOG has come. But this is somewhat like financial district, not quite. Okay, so let's assume, back to my point, that you have billionaire who says, we want to move University of Ghana and preserve all this and turn it into a financial district. So when you walk there, that's where you see the stock exchange, the banks, the insurance. I mean, these financial so-called gurus. In America, they call it what? Wall Street. So assuming you want to change, then that's rezoning. You are changing the zone. But if it's about a plot or just a couple within this space, that's change of use. Okay. And it can be done, but it will be assessed, and assessment has to be done by a professional planner. And where the change affects an open space, let's say wetland, you heard some people wanted Achimota Forest. I can't believe this. And they wrote a law to back it. They are bold. They know if they go for it, you can say, and they wrote a law, executive instrument. It means the president says he wants to do this. But both laws fail because of public uproar. But back to the point, if you want to change any of these sensitive ecological spaces, the law says seek parliamentary approval before you count assembly. And do you know who put this provision there? I was part of the NAPO. And I was resisting. He nearly beat me up. Because I thought that at the time I said, oh, it will be too much. This guy wants to justifiable reason to change portion of that green space. Maybe he's developing an alternative one somewhere, or you don't always go to conclusion. Give people a chance to present. And then he said no. At the time, I was not a president of GIP, but executive member. So I wrote an opinion piece representing the institute. So it's like one architect attends a meeting, he decided to come and see architect Asare. Then you put in official position, architects of Ghana. These are, he saw it and he could tell that the points I was making were resonating. He said, you wrote that thing, and he was right. So he rubbished it, and then it remained there. But I realized it's practically impossible to carry anything to, but we have serious business. And you are carrying a matter of, I want to change Eburi Gardens to, or Achimota Forest. Can you walk to Parliament? No. But what we have achieved with this is that it's created a deterrent measure. Deterrence. Donald Trump will tell you, oh, the reason why we invest in nuclear weapons is we will not use them, but if you know we have them, you will behave. Just knowing that I have it, you will behave. So this being there, so far, I haven't seen any applicant go to Parliament, except in one case where Newmont was diverting a section of the Sunyani Kumasi Road. As usual. There was prime gold, and we just constructed the road and we are just driving. The white Newmont came, there's a lot of gold underneath. We won't divert. So pray for Ghana. Well, I can't imagine how we've been sitting on prime gold for years. Nobody knew we have Geological Survey Authority, everybody, and all the experts, geology experts in Kenya, USC, Legon. Nobody. And then these guys see, they say, hey, the highway is sweet. We want to. And so we requested them to go to Parliament. I don't know if they've gone yet. Permits are valid for 5 years. If you take permit and for some reason you couldn't finish your project, after the 5th year, you have to come back for renewal. And then permit processing should not take more than 30 working days under the law. Please, somebody wanted to, yes, sir.
So I wanted to ask, with regards to what are the planning considerations? For example, we've had a series of market fires over the past couple of years. Are there planning considerations for properly zoning them now for safety, health and safety reasons, or because it looks like they just go back to putting up the same type of buildings back onto the same piece of land?
I can assure you that I can say in certainty that there will be fire again in Kantamanto, there will be fire again in Asafo Market in Kumasi, name them. Because what you see there is just a fantastic appetite for fire. You see, the local authorities are not able to take charge. So AMA should have, I'll get there shortly. They would have declared the place as a blighted area. There's a slide on it. Thank God I brought it. So when they declare your space as blight, the local authority has the power to take it over, fix it, or ask you to fix it. And then if the local authority does it, you pay for it. If you do it, of course, you spend your money. So they are unable to use the law. So what is happening in Kantamanto today is nothing but a set of new woodwork and roofing, replicating the old culture and order. You know, you do not have access for emergency services, and that is why a woman, maybe she was hit into hysteria. She said the fire service came to pour petrol on. Did you watch that video? But two petrol goes. Hey. Oh, I knew that we can have problems. I didn't know that we can have problems to that. Oh, how can? Oh, who uses his money to go and buy expensive petrol? Has to come and dump or but frustration, you know. But the point is, they couldn't take full charge of the situation, no access and all that. So, Masa, unfortunately, all right.
Please,
Yeah.
I have a quick one. The permits for parks and gardens, like those relaxation areas, we realize that we have gradually lost all of them and everything is built up. So what is going to happen to us in a couple of years when we don't have any of that anymore?
A lot of things will happen. Some are, our behavior may change. You know, a Fawcett Land Children's Park, just across it. Do you know where it used to be? The entire city house and all this were part of it. Hey, when Nkrumah was in charge of the system, yeah. Then it was being chopped. Oh, let's do this. So it straight from there to Accra International Conference. When I became of age and started working, we had a Fawcett Land up to Kempinski. Because in 92, we had a non-alliance movement conference and President Rawlings, we just didn't have a befitting place. So quickly they chopped that part of it to build Accra International Conference Center. Justifying that if this green space was for public, then the conference center was also for public, therefore justifiable. But of course, President has executive powers. So let's take it out. Then we had a Fawcett Land, then the jockey, where they ride horses. Oh, Kempinski used to ride horses there. Now another president comes. Unfortunately, they were not ordinary people. Then they built Kempinski. So it's also gone, leaving only a Fawcett Land. A Fawcett Land, I see bits of concrete planted here, maybe because it's been walled, it would have been gone by now. But it's not about architecture, planning, hardcore. Let's go back to science. Trees produce oxygen, true of us. You feed on oxygen. Your brain feeds on oxygen. And when your brain does not have enough oxygen, what happens? Not necessarily. You may not die just like that, but the brain will suffocate. And when the brain begins to suffocate, your behavior changes. You become aggressive. Yes. Yeah. You become a little, you will not be relaxed. And that is why a child born in cantonment where you have this large green cannot have the same conduct as a child born across in Nima where it's brown. No, scientifically, I can explain it that way. Because this brain is fully nourished with oxygen. One mature tree provides oxygen for 6 to 8 people in a year. That's the math. One. So you have excess oxygen nourishing a brain here. So you see generally conduct there, they are calm. Oh, let's be patient. Let's be patient. Then here, see, not because they are necessarily, to me, if you ask me to explain scientifically, maybe it's not the reason, but I can still say, so, and I'll cap it by saying, they say when the last tree dies, so it answers it. So when we keep chopping, something will happen to us. Our health, public health will be affected. You know that? Because these greens, they filter the air, isn't it? They moderate the microclimate. The heat islands are taken care of. Rain conditions are managed. They moderate our soils. They improve our landscape. Visual amenities better and on. So if the trees are not there, you lose all these advantages And so conclude for me what will happen to you if you're in such a state.
Please, quick question. Sorry.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about the validity of the permits. So is it the validity of the planning permit? And
Oh.
is it valid during the change of use? And if you are not done changing in time, you have to renew. So if you could please clarify on what the validity entails and the renewal after the 5 years.
Yeah, so in all these permits I have listed, if you take it and in 5 years, you have not been able to move on, it becomes invalid. Because the presumption is that prevailing conditions may have way changed. And so the reason, the basis for that assessment leading to the grant of that permit may not be valid now. Yes, so then,
So all permits are temporary, but are there any permanent permits that
No,
you
you
don't
can't-
have to renew again?
no, wherever we have a functioning system, there's no permanent, there's no permanent permit anywhere. The reason is that after you are done with your building, let's say your private structure, you come for permit, you're able to build within the 5 years. Case closed, isn't it? You only have to come for certificate of completion and habitation. Let's say you come for all of that. God forbid something happens to the house. Quickly, we have to go to the design. What is the as-built design? Because we need to understand, especially, I haven't seen it here. Abroad, you see landslides and sinkholes. You see a house will just vanish like that. Because there are a lot of underground stuff have happened and the house just sinks. You know, we need to understand and all of that. So once a while, the authorities still will drive around. You built all right, but at the time of your application, you, let's say, had a your design said you were walling 3 sides, the back and the sides. The frontage, you were going to have hedges. You are done. But all of a sudden, we realize that you are doing a 3-meter wall or more. These days, I see people wall themselves off. They wall the house away from the surface of the earth. Because you drive and you don't see, you just see, I don't know, it's like a prison yard. Prison yard, you see the house is walled off. We have to come. Yes. Did you come for permit? No, it's not valid. Did you come for permit to do what you've done? Yeah, produce it. Yeah, it's just lying. Yes. Because if we don't have that to compare with ours, we are unable to tell what was the permit given for, to be able to argue with you or not, whether you've added something or not. There's no basis if we don't. Yes. You're welcome.
Sir, quick
Yeah.
one. I've always wondered, for government projects, is the permitting process the same as private development?
It's supposed to be the same, but sometimes the government one moves.
There's some conflict of
It moves a little. No, let me tell you a story. The Minister of Local Government is in charge of all district assemblies in Ghana. You know that. That's the ministry that supervises this whole. And then they wanted to build their office. Listen to the story. I was in the meeting and we refused them. Hey, how do you refuse your supervisory minister? They are in charge of, before you can become the chief executive, it is that minister who has to recommend. This assembly A, B, C, anything, A, B, that. And these headquarters wanted to build its head office in one local authority area. And then they say no. I was proud of myself that day. Because I didn't know such a day will come where you can look in the face of and follow the rules. They were doing everything wrong. And unfortunately, I wouldn't tell. It was scandalous to me. So we say no. And then they call the officer. We'll transfer you. We'll do all of this. You can answer, but transfer is not a death sentence. But they couldn't succeed. Except that if it had gone through, would have fast-tracked it because, I mean, we own the system, isn't it? You can imagine, yeah, so we do that. Sometimes the order is even from the presidency. I didn't say the president, the presidency. So, Sabi, anybody there could be using his power.
Yeah.
And because they appoint everybody, you want to be a little quick. So the answer is that usually we're a bit efficient. I will not say we fast track, we're a bit efficient at it takes,
Say,
and especially sometimes to those who pay big money,
yeah. Say,
they hide it under premium service.
say, but isn't there the need to involve the public in such decisions like permitting?
I'll come there. I'll answer that. So enforcement and blight provision. So we say we are enforcing a plan. It means we are prohibiting. Prohibiting means we will not agree for you to do. We are abating. These are normal English words. What is abate? You curtail, like you reduce this, and we are abating it. We're reducing it. Remove. I like remove. When you go to court, the court hardly will say, go and demolish your house from the land. They say, go and remove your house. So start buying container houses, and so that when they say remove, you can throw it away. The judge will just say it nicely. I hereby rule that you remove. So remover. And then we have outright pull down or demolish, where, I mean, there's no way to garnish it, you know. You are building on the transmission line. We don't have to be nice at it. Demolish. Except that usually we hardly demolish. When you see demolition, it's a political opponent going after the other. You demolish your house and use the same planning law. So these are the enforcement options. It's not one. Prohibit, no, don't try. Abate, curtail, reduce. You stretch your fence wall beyond the limits of the building line, projecting into the road. So that thing went through, say, abate. Remove. Remove means remove. Pull down. Alter. Alter means, oh, the entrance is here. We are advising that you take it there. Or there. Something like that. And then normally, before the assembly takes action, they have to serve your notice. You have to explain yourself. See, we have what we call the rule of natural justice. In law, you always have to be given the chance to explain yourself. Because even on Judgment Day, I'm a Muslim. Muslims believe that you read your own book. What you did, the debit and the credit side. Yes, you looked, you walked, you said, you did this, you used your powers, you did this. You can't hide it in front of God. So you read your thing, it means you've been given a hearing. Then after that, you'll be your own judge, isn't it? You make the judgment easy. So on the basis of all of this, maybe you want to plead for mercy. And you go, but I don't know. So in our judicial system also, they always have to serve you notice. Explain yourself. Why did you do this? You explain, and it's satisfactory, fine. If it's not, then they proceed to take those actions. Then we also have a situation where it's not about structure. You are just causing a nuisance. And your nuisance, let's say you are doing something and there's a foul smell. There's a Spinters industrial area. My house is just across the motorway to the other side. And there was somebody sneaked in a refinery and when they start processing, I don't know whatever, we just couldn't bear it. So that was a nuisance. So action can also be taken against nuisance, and then you will be served a notice. Enforcement in public right of space. So we spoke about building in a road reservation, transmission line reservation, gas pipeline reservation. You are obstructing flights. You are building in a faucet land or Achimota forest, or these are public right of space. We as Ghanaians have equal stake in all of this. The wetlands, you see chiefs claiming wetland as if they brought land to this earth. That's why people who sell land away, they never get money. They're always poor. I don't know why. Maybe spiritually they are being punished. They don't have money. So we can also enforce. You want to build in this. And the position of the law on building or doing something here is that they can remove it without prior notice. Remember, I told you that the natural justice rule is that always you have to be served the notice to explain. But when it comes to this public right of space, I gave you examples. It could be, like we have a forest reserve. Lands minister say, is it 9 or 6? You also don't listen to news like me. Yes, he says our 6 forest reserves are gone. They are taken over by armed gangs and they are doing what I'm saying. Under the planning law, when you enter there, there's no negotiation. No time to discuss. You are building on motor reservation, no room for discussion. Remove, demolish, pull down. That's what the law says. And okay, I spoke about power of entry, penalty for obstruction, outsourcing. Under section 151 of the law, the assemblies, they always complain about not having enough staff and all of that. So the law says they can outsource. So you establish your architectural firm or what firm, you put yourself together, you understand the system. They can outsource enforcement. So your company will go around, do all the work, determine which ones are infracting and all of that, and present to them to take the action in case they don't know. But they never want to do it. Blighted areas. This thing, we borrowed it from abroad and imported it into the law, and it's never worked so far. So when a place has all these problems, dilapidation, it's obsolete, overcrowded, challenges with faulty design, you have sanitation problem, deleterious land use, and all of that, or a combination of all of this. Assembly, like a Agbogloshi area, when you enter there, you see humanity. I don't know, it's as if some people are not human beings. Yeah, the living conditions are unacceptable. You see a person with a child, and there's a refuse dam, she put a cloth on it and she's using it as a pillow. Bola, yeah. And the stench in the whole, I don't know how Mensa Otabil does his church. You know, he's sitting in the middle of this. Well, his landscape is area nice, but the nuisance, I don't know, it's sad. So the local authority can, on the basis of this, declare that your place is blighted. And they can acquire it, hold it, clear it, repair it, manage it, do all these things under the law. So don't ask me, why don't we go to Nungo, Teshi, Old Town, C5, and this, and Nima, and do? At least the law has laid the foundation. If it's not happening, I don't know why. And in case the district fix the problem for you, or for the area, you are supposed to pay them for it. So, in short, a blighted area is just an area that exhibits bad environmental conditions which are not suitable for human habitation. Yeah. And for purposes of transparency and public participation, the assemblies are supposed to have public data room. This is a physical room designated where a number of documents and more are kept, so that I think you are, so you can walk in. I want to see the plan for my area. When you go to the public data room, they have to. And the place is supposed to be manned by an officer of the district assembly to assist you assess the document. A permit was given here. You are not satisfied. How can they give permit for this? You should go there, should give you the minutes, the decisions taken, and the reasons. But the truth is that you can't find it. And they are supposed to have a virtual one. They don't have it. If you have it, when you go, it's not manned. But nobody has taken us to court yet. So we are behaving the way we are. If I had a chance to leave the system, I think I would have mastered in suing my own system. Just to see how we help. Oh, really, I have been blessed with some exposure across the world. Whether from Asia to Europe to America to Scandinavia to wherever. You see human beings living, excuse me to say, they are benefiting from humanity, living, enjoy how human beings should live. Nice environment, no traffic jams unnecessarily, isn't it? Visual amenity. If you go to Denmark, riding bicycle is a prestige. Nobody is in a hurry to buy a car. Yeah, of course, the inconvenience in having a car is too much. Everybody riding here and there. Your prime minister is on a bicycle, minister is on a bicycle, everybody living their life. These rich guys, very rich, they have heritage funds. They have money that can take care of thousands of years of their generations unborn. But they have the presence of mind to know that that doesn't mean you should blow it. Then here, we are so nice. So that's public data room. And it's because of the transparency we want to achieve. Now, right to review. We are ending soon. I think we have just about 3 more slides. Anytime these planning authorities take a decision in respect of you, and you are not happy, you have the right to appeal against. So if you have suffered or likely to suffer a loss or damage as a result of an action of a planning authority or a person under the authority, you have the right to appeal. If you have grounds to believe that the right of privilege under this act is infringed upon, you have a certain right under this law. For example, you are supposed to be served notice before they come and take action, except if you are in a public right of space. You remember I said that. And they didn't do that. They came just demolish your house. It means that you have a reason to believe that a certain privilege you have under this act has been breached. You can also appeal or call for review. If you have a reason to believe that any portion of this act, there's just a little bit of it, a lot of things in there. You believe that there is a breach of this law in one way or the other, you can appeal to the assembly. And if you feel dissatisfied about a decision, you went for permit or you want rezoning or change of use and it wasn't granted, you have reason, you feel strongly that you were not treated fairly, you can also appeal for review. And if you're appealing for review, the rule is that you first appeal to the assembly. The same people that treated you bad, go back. Bad in quotes. The same people that exacted a decision that did not favor you, go back first. They may have changed your mind. If it doesn't work, So if you are writing, you write to the regional coordinating director. All of this matter. If you write to district chief executive, they can on the grounds of that trash it. Okay? Because it's law, it's specified how you should go about it. Then if that doesn't work, you write to the regional coordinating council. In addressing your thing, address it to the regional coordinating director, okay? You move a step higher. And if all of that fail, you appeal to my boss. He's called Kojoboa. He's the chief executive officer. And if you send your application within 21 days or so, they are supposed to get back to you. But from the day that the decision was taken that you were not happy, if you wait till after 30 days, your case is dead, okay? So within 30 days, decide, put in your appeal, okay? All right. When you are writing you are presenting your complaint or your appeal, it has to satisfy certain conditions. One, it should be submitted in writing. Don't send WhatsApp audio or text or something, okay? Send it in writing officially. And the particulars of the person submitting the request should be there. Who are you? How can we reach you? You don't just write an appeal, take it there, no phone number, no email, no address. Means it's a ghost appeal. It will not be responded to. And the nature of the complaint, the grievance, what are you unhappy about? Say it. Don't write paragraphs and paragraphs of fantastic English that does not convey any grievance. Say it. If you disagree with the basis for the refusal of your permit application in respect of a project located in number 7 at Alemawo Street, East Trasaco, Accra, say it. Application, when they do submit it, it comprises this unit. Describe let it be clear. Don't be going around and talking. Sometimes I receive appeals from people and they are just busy talking. The Constitution says everybody should be treated fairly, natural justice, and refusing to say, okay, so then you have to have all evidences to support, isn't it? If you say you were treated unfairly, or if you say he's breaching the law, because it's not always when you are mistreated. Sometimes it's not even about you. You've seen a house and you think it's built wrongly, yet it's covered by a permit, and you are challenging it. But how do you do this without evidence, no photo? Oh, you can't tell us where it is. You can't say anything. It should be backed by evidence. So you have to do your homework. Well, yeah. Good question. There are prescribed ways of notifying. Yeah, ideally, it's supposed to have been a nice letter in your box, but we don't have that. Like abroad, you just get up and there's a box in front of you, take, or you receive email. After all this wahala in registering SIM card, Ghana card, today I can't reach you. After all the effort, I think we should be frank. There's no way I can reach you because you use your cousin's number to register Momo, do the confusion. Digital address, GD295 stroke. This is Azan. It's not, that's not where you live. You just took. So in our setting, it can be difficult. And I suppose that is the justification they adduce to go 7. But this 7 notice on the wall is supposed to just have been supplementary, additional to the original notice served you. Because you don't serve notice on walls. In law, they call it substituted service. I pray you don't go to court for a difficult situation. But sometimes they are looking for the person, they don't find them. And then the court will grant what we call substituted service. We'll paste it on your wall. We send to your WhatsApp number we know because the original channel failed. But in our situation, we go straight to the substituted service. Then the presumption is that we can't find you, isn't it? Because if you wrote the notice and you went and served the person, if they are still building, usually they are not there themselves, isn't it? You have the artisans. Hey, can you get the artisan to sign that he took the thing, he's going to deliver? Where are you going to get him? Can't get him or her. So
Hello, sir.
because of that, but I have seen a court ruling where the court made nonsense of this stop work thing around Mankasim or so, but under a certain circumstance, the court rubbished that as no notice served. Yes, somebody wanted.
Yes, sir. So the appeal should be
There's
done.
before you continue, there's an error here. It's 1, not 3. 3 months. I think I explained it earlier. Yes, proceed.
Okay. So the appeal should be done within 30 days after the decision. But we have to go through the district assembly, then
First.
to that, all within that 30 days.
Because whatever your complaint is about is found in the district assembly.
Yes. But if you go there and then they delay in the response, and then your 30 days elapses before you now, wouldn't that 30 days be, or you would be granted another?
No. So once it doesn't work, you can proceed.
Quickly.
So in going to the regional coordinating council, right to the regional coordinating director, your reason would include,
The delay.
well, if you use delay, that's not a smart legal language. Yes, it's delay. But if you are litigant, you say they refused. Because you cannot talk on their delay. At the deadline, they didn't take action. So if I'm helping you put your case, I will say refused. Because they didn't take action. As to whether it's delay or not, that's your problem. We are working with the deadline. Are you getting it? Yes. So let's assume that you get to the region, something also happens. That's when you travel. And then where the last fails, you head to the High Court. And you request the court to take action. And it's only the High Court, listen, not district court, not any lower court. And don't go to the Supreme Court. Don't go to Court of Appeal, High Court, okay? They would then take action. But there's something a little disappointing. We don't go to court also on the court can rule on matters of like 30 days they didn't respond, the court will take action. But the court is not allowed under this law to make a pronouncement on technical issues. For example, you had a cladding arrangement that emitted too much light energy obstructing, and it was the basis for the assembly taking a certain decision. The court is not supposed to. Sorry? That's if they do, yes. If they seek, they call an expert to testify, then that's technical work. But if the judge is just to sit and rule, because he's not clothed with, even if he did architecture planning, he's a judge under this circumstance. He's supposed to pretend not to and just go with facts, procedure, and end it them. Yes, I think I explained all of this. So that brings us to the end of the little bit of this law that I can share. We have a whole lot. That's how it looks like. It's not always yellow. I see other colors. So if you go and it's not yellow, don't say that's not it. And I'm glad. Yes, sir, Chief. Time's up. Yes, sir.
Sir, my question has to do with,
Yes, please proceed.
my question has to do with permit charges. Is there a criteria for calculating it? And does it differ from assembly to assembly? That's the first one. And then the second one is, assuming a project is ongoing, but along the line, the project has seen various changes.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be getting permit as at when the change comes, or I can wait until the project is done, then I take another permit? I've already taken a permit for the start.
Yes.
But along the way, we've had changes. So should I wait till the end of the project before I take another permit for it?
Good question. So beginning with the first one, yes, charges vary because unfortunately, depending on where you are standing, every assembly is an authority unto itself. Once they sit with the assembly members and they go through their fee fixing resolution and they agree that a square meter of area development is X amount. Once it's gazetted, you know Gazette. Gazette is official publication to the people of Ghana that we are done, we went through the right process, and we publish it to the people in the world. That's it. They will forever use those rates. If you come to another assembly and they are taking a quarter off, bingo, you are lucky. But the local government ministry usually has criteria, the basis for determining those unit rates. And they vary it. I've seen in the rural areas, they don't use unit space. They do count of spaces like 2-bedroom. Yes. 1 bedroom, that 2. Because in the villages, I can't understand how you go to Fumbisi and you are using unit. The people don't have money there. You raise your head, you see poverty for majority of the people. So they can't comply. So you make it easy for them to comply. If you come to Accra, it's very tough. Not even the whole of Accra. That's central, these areas, you go through a little bit of difficulty and you have to pay a little bit more. You have to use experts on everything, literally, compared to building, somewhere in the outskirts where things are a bit relaxed for several reasons. Because there's no attention there, isn't it? If you're building cantonments, Airport Hill, these places, parts of Asylum down and some of these areas, you draw attention. Depending on what you are doing. So they have discretion. Please, discretion. And the second question, which was about whether you can, once there is an amendment to your design that can constitute a transformation to the structure. When I say transformation, fairly significant changes. You're changing the entry-exit arrangements, you're adjusting the heights, you didn't have a lift, you are introducing one. I mean, those significant, you always have to come for amendment to your permit. Is that right? Yes, always. There are some minor, very minor stuff. Taking a decision to change the position of the WC, in the bedroom from here to here. Well, we didn't see it anyway. Why do you come for amendment? Those are two minor, or you are extending the limits of your window a bit. Not closing here and taking the window there. That will require amendment. you know, because it has implication for ventilation, lighting, and all of that, depending on the orientation of it.
Okay, so my question is the point I'm supposed to apply for the amendment. So let's say this year we decided to install elevators, and then I come and apply for amendment. Then next year, somewhere or later this year, we want to change the entry or the access.
Come back.
I have to come back. So
Yes.
as at when there is a
Yes.
major change,
Yes.
I have to amend the
Yes, sir.
permit. Okay.
Yeah. That's why you have to be a little decisive, because it can be expensive.
Thank you, sir. Please, I wanted to ask if you could throw some light on application for approval in principle
Okay.
because of the 11-story development you said.
Good one. Yes. The concept, application for approval in principle usually is not even strictly in the law. It's just a system we have created where your project is so extensive, so you are throwing it at the local authority to give you a certain indication that it will flow, you know. Then they'll say, oh yeah, given what we've seen, you know, just take care of ABCD. Proceed as we go into the actual permit. That's the essence of application in principle. You are not bound to come for application. You can decide to sit in your corner and do your final drawings and come. But I'm sorry for you, because too many experts. The engineering class alone, usually I see about 5 to 6. Yeah. Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing aspect. Geotechnical aspect. Structural aspect. General civil works aspect. We the planning people, usually we are moderate. Me alone, I go see the talk of everything. But if we're supposed to also deploy all these aspects, and the architects, usually I see 2. One focusing on the landscape aspect and the other looking at the general designs and so on and so forth. Architect Person. Have you heard his name? I always say, yeah, very brilliant. Tell him I say he's brilliant. That's fantastic work. He takes his time and go through everything. And I learn every day from him. For example, emergency escape routes have to be enclosed, because if there's fire and it's not tightly enclosed, the smoke can enter there, gas you to death, isn't it? I learned all of that.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please, I wanted to ask if the program of works for maybe my project extends beyond 5 years, do I have to come back to renew my permits after the 5 years or?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. And kindly clarify something for me, the conditional and unconditional permits, if you can.
Conditional means you are given the permit with conditions. Conditions could include, we're giving you this permit to build as designed, but you are supposed to have no less than 3 trees in your house. That's a condition. Or if we look at the surface area, percolation is quite poor. We'll grant you permit. But if you cannot remove the tiles on your compound and replace them with pavement, well, then you have to improve the drainage in front of your house, because the volume of water to be captured in your surrounding is going to increase, isn't it? And once you throw it into that drain, it has to have capacity to collect and to transport, move it. And given the gradient, if the velocity is going to be that high, it means in a short time, the water from your area is going to travel to her place and flood her house. So we want you to do what we call stream training. You temper with the gradient in a way that the water will not, and so on. So the conditions could come in. In our normal lives, we have conditions, don't we? I heard a counselor. This is just a joke. Before I married him, I asked him to change his hairstyle and his trouser, the kind of trouser he wears. He's a lady counselor. So that's a condition. He gave the man permit to marry her on condition change your hairstyle and your haircut. So it's the same. So if you don't follow the conditions, then you are unauthorized. If as a result of not following the conditions, we outrightly came and revoked the permit and you still went ahead, it's unauthorized. If you didn't have permit altogether, unauthorized. So, but currently, I think the focus is just on you don't have permit. They are a bit lazy. They don't go into these other nuances. Yes.
Sir, there's a question online. One of our colleagues.
All right.
Yes,
yes.
sir, I want to ask, yes. I want to ask why draftsmen were included in the people who signed the permit documents.
All right, sir. I don't know if this is official. What I know is that the designs that are submitted for consideration can be signed by a certain category of draftsmen if it's not a complex. I mean, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom. I mean, something simple.
Okay.
But signing permit, no, I think, no. Permit is supposed to be signed by the fiscal planning officer, the works engineer.
I think I didn't put it well. It's not signed, like the people who approve there's a portion for the person who prepared the design.
Okay. So I think I amended
So I actually work with an assembly. So.
Oh, okay, great. So it's
yes.
I've forgotten exactly. In fact, in the past we specified the gross floor area. We didn't want to just make it open.
Okay.
1-bedroom, 2-bedroom. So we specified the scope of works that otherwise we will end up overburdening people too much. And as you know, there are many people, even in Accra here, who cannot bear the cost of compliance. Cost of compliance is a bit high, I must say. And maybe.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
So, colleagues, if we can know the number of people who want to ask questions,
let's
so that we can end quickly, because it will eat into the afternoon.
Maybe
session.
2 more, not more than 2 more. Yes, sir.
I think mine is a quick clarity on his. You indicated that, so let's just assume, like how we do constructions in Ghana, it's taken over 6-10 years. Is the 5 years validity period for when you, after 5 years, if you don't start, is rendered now, or if it extends, you started, it extends beyond 5 years, you still then have to come for a permit. If you could put that in proper perspective for me.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. In the past, we used to, again, this comes back to interpretation. In the past, it was considered to be a situation where you acquire the permit and you just keep it till it becomes stale. Then it means you didn't. But the recent interpretations we use encapsulates the second part. Because in undertaking a project, frankly, after the 5 years going, we cannot assume that conditions are still the same. If you go to the airport area around the custom, behind the airport police station, there's this project there are many of such. We all know the structure is exposed to the vagaries of the weather, the reinforcement, you are spoiling, a lot of things happening. And you cannot allow such a thing to continue unabated. Yes. So in the course of the project, you're still working on it. By the 5th year, you are not done. You have to come for an amendment too.
Okay.
Yes, because we need to satisfy ourselves that after all these 5 long years, it doesn't always mean that they will impose new things. If the conditions underlying the project 5 years ago are still intact, but certainly if they have changed or weather has impacted the project, we may have to ask you to even demolish certain parts, isn't it? Replace some of the reinforcement because they are overly corroded, isn't it? Or thieves came to temper. I mean, so many things can happen. Or the technology you floated 5 years ago is now moribund.
All right.
If you had finished, no problem. But we cannot allow you to proceed. So, for example, currently, facade cladding, people use LEDs. A lot of them emit powerful heat and, that's that blind eyes. Gradually, they are being rejected. Those who did them in the past, fine. But we now have transparent LED where, it virtually has no heat emission and it doesn't blind because of the pixelation arrangement of the background. So there are so many factors that inform the reason for you to come back after the 5th year, whether in the case of you having not started or you are still on but not finished.
Okay. So if I get you, if you've started already, then it's an amendment. The reason I'm asking this question is if you are going in for a new one, let's just say the examples you cited, the rods, the reinforcements are corroding and all that. In the drawings, it may not show the reality of what is existing on grounds. So does it mean that the amendments, the requirements are also different to get the amendment? Because if there isn't physical inspection from your side, you may not see such things.
And this cannot happen without physical inspection anyway. Otherwise, there will be no clear reasons to inform the amendment. Because what are you amending? You haven't been to site, you don't know what is happening. If you base on the drawing, then the status quo holds because it's still fresh. So always ground inspection has to be carried out to establish that there is variation between what we all agreed upon 5 years ago and what is pertaining now. And then we see how we bridge the gap. So bridging the gap and certifying the bridge is the basis for the amendment and is the reason why you have to come back.
Sir, please.
Yes, sir. Okay. Last one.
Yeah, the last one there. Please, after the presentation, you made mention that there's more to the planning laws. I want to ask if there's a law that enforces or that allows the district assemblies to give you a receipt of the payment of the permit, a different receipt. For example, maybe they will tell you that this is the cost of the permit, let's say 20,000, but they'll let you know that they'll give a receipt of 5,000 or 3,000. Is there any law like that?
Oh, I wish you would answer this for me. Format. Format. Like somebody call you and say, I work at MTN. Can you give me your master? Where they say straight? You are commonsensically when I pay 10 cedi, give me receipt for 10 cedi. And then you are telling stories in between. How do you account? And how do you account for the money to your client? Or, what's that format? Naked corruption, daylight robbery. Sometimes, because of your situation, you don't want to go into that. So you can just, but it's wrong. It's corruption, it's thievery, pilferage. Just keep describing it. It's format. That's, you have been frauded. Above fraud. Okay. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure meeting with you, and I really enjoy the line of discussion. The questions were apt, some were outside the box, and I appreciate all of them. And I wish you well in your practice. Please, this information, just keep finding out more, learning more, and using intuition. When I say intuition, some of these things, yes, law we discuss and all of it, sometimes you need to drop common sense in between. Otherwise, you'll be taken advantage of. The people who interpret the thing raw, then it will not favor you. So please, look smart. You may want to call your colleague if you are lazy at reading the rules and laws yourself to just give you a little insight further before you take steps. I wouldn't take major decision on a matter of architecture without talking to Architect Asare or all of these seniors, isn't it? So that he will give you some insight if it's about structure. That's why those days they forced us to know each other. You can't be doing planning, you don't know anybody in architecture, you don't know anybody in BT, nobody in civil. I don't know now. So I have from school, even in assignments, I could liaise with an engineer friend, architect friend, so that you have a complete product. Otherwise, you have this one-way production that gives you, and you cannot be a world-class architect. But we aspire that we should have a few world-class people. We have one of them. I think he did a project here. I didn't say National Cathedral. You looked at me and said that. Okay, thank you very much.